Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geeky Geezers. This is your host, Grandmaster A, and this is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli. What?
Hey, how's it
Change
going?
up to get with the kids, okay? I'm kidding. I'm Agent Boomer. This is PaPa Pacelli.
Yeah, I
aka
think we should stay
Pacelli.
on brand. Let's not try to be cool and hip.
Yeah, I know Grandmaster A. I don't even think in the fly '90s that was that cool.
Yeah.
And let's see here, though. We got a lot of people in the house. Let's see. And Annette, hi, doing that with the hi, sweeties.
Yeah.
Uh
She's a cheerleader. I love having her in the stream.
huh. Daniel Herron.
Hey,
Let's
Birdman.
see. Melissa Harrison Sons. Auditor Dread. Good to see you. Where's everybody? Oh,
Yeah. So, someone mentioned this on the last stream that I was on Friday night. Oh,
Yeah.
Troy's on camera. Yeah, I decided to clean up my area around me and go on camera again because I had to kind of rework my studio because last Friday I was over on Latino Slant doing karaoke. So I was like, if I'm going to be on camera, you know, I may as well, be on camera. Let you guys see how red my eyes get as I drink.
oh yeah, that'd be cool. All right, let me see here.
Speaking of which, what are you sipping on, Boomer?
I got a watermelon fruit juice cocktail by Arizona.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
I'm having a cognac, Cavassier specifically.
I thought you were having a cognac with Kabasi for a second there when you were saying it. Well,
Okay.
I don't know where the comment went, but Melissa Harris had a comment that says we love the Geeky Geezers. But anyway, I said it out loud.
Dr. Pepper.
Netter's got Diet
Good for you,
Dr. Pepper.
Nanette. All right, cool. All right, so here we are tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see what else is going on. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. How's your week been going?
Mm.
We had a wonderful stream on Friday, the Frankenstein stream.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I felt like we got a lot of good support from the community. That was a lot of fun. Some new listeners, in fact, came by because of the pre-show over on Latino Slant. So I super appreciated that.
Cool. Yeah, Latino Slide. You did some karaoke on that stream.
I
channel,
absolutely
right?
did. I did 2 Eagles songs. Yeah, I did. What did I do? I did Take It Easy. And towards the end of the stream, I did. What was the other song? Best of My Love. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So, and
Cool.
it's. I was told I sounded great, but I'm clearly having audio problems when I share music. Like share screen. So I've got to do some research before next Friday when I, maybe I do it again,
Cool.
If he wants to keep having me on his channel, I'll keep doing it,
Cool. Oh, what's up, guys? Joshua V. Any thoughts on Bloody Batman tease? What is Bloody Batman tease? What is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what
I
you're
don't know.
referring to. Does this have something to do with the Pattinson Batman? We talked about that a little bit last week. It looks like they're having some real production issues. Well, we kind of knew that, to be honest with you. But
Gotcha.
now we're starting to hear like 2023, 2024 before it gets released, which I think is going to seriously hamper whether or not it's connected to their second Joker film.
I don't think
they're going to connect the two.
The thing with these Batman rumors is I want to really talk about them, but I need something more concrete.
Well, this is what I had said too,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah.
why I never added them to the thing, because that's all we have is rumors. We don't have anything coming out from any of the news outlets. But here's what's really hard about what we're doing here, people. Just so I can kind of give you a little bit of not just a peek behind the curtain, but just being above board as much as possible, if you forgive me mixing my metaphors. But we do report on rumors, but you can get those rumors anywhere. We comment on them because we kind of give our own editorialization on how much credence we give to them. And what we try to do is hold those rumors up against, reputable news outlets. But what I've started noticing lately is that a lot of these otherwise reputable news outlets are now starting to pick up the rumors from YouTubers. So, maybe I'm going out on a bit of a limb here, but I feel that these YouTube rumors, these YouTube personalities are becoming mainstream media. They have real inside sources, just the way media of old used to have. Your ABC, NBC, CBS, your local news affiliates, you know? But I don't know.
What? Why are they on the stream?
I have no idea, Boomer. You're a boomer. That's the only excuse I have.
No, that would creep me out. It's like when Captain Kirk got split in two, remember?
So now am I talking to the evil twin or the good twin? Is there a good twin?
Well, now we merged again, so
you
almost got to talk to the evil me. Okay.
But that's my feeling about all this. And you've got to rethink how you deal with rumors and speculation, okay? Because rumor just means we cannot substantiate it, but it has been reported, okay? Just remember, everything you hear in the news is based on rumor that cannot be substantiated. It's, we heard this from a source. We'll see how it pans out. That's what news is, okay? And the fact that people say, oh, because it came from CNN, ABC, Fox News, whatever, it's absolutely true because it's mainstream news. No, that's not how news works, okay? And because somebody is honest enough to say, I got this from a reliable source, but since I can't confirm it, we got to consider it to be rumor. You don't just say, okay, so it's bullshit. Oh, excuse me.
It's just fine.
You can edit that on the.
Well, that's a mild cuss word.
It's got.
You're supposed to say. You're supposed to say. You know, Adrian was having a double version. The double version is getting to him. I don't know. The internet was freaking out of me, so I had to leave and then come back in. But then
I think it's StreamYards because we were having some problems before. I attributed it to my audio, but I don't think it is. I think it's StreamYard.
Well, I know Rumble features live streaming now too, but I don't think you can pan it over to
not yet
YouTube. But anyway, we're gonna talk about the good old days, right?
Tell me about the good old days. What are we going to talk about today, Boomer?
We're thinking about doing movie food crossovers, or even like TV, popular culture food crossovers that we grew up with that aren't cereal, because we did the cereal already.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously for me, what's been big in the news as far as, food tie-ins, Ghostbusters is going forward with a lot of their, not all, but a lot of their food tie-ins. So the Stay Puft Marshmallow licenses are showing up, so you're starting to see reproductions of the packaging that you see in the movie being released by actually apparently different marshmallow companies around the world, because not all of them are the same in Australia and in the US and so forth. A lot of fans are saying we want to see Ecto Cooler, but if we don't, there is a YouTuber out there. I believe it's Ghostbusters News. He's got a great video about how to make your own Ecto Cooler. So you can have it, year round. Always be self-sufficient, because then they can't take it away from you.
That was the best thing about that last Ghostbusters movie, was the fact they
it was the only good thing about that last Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, well, what I actually bought a case of it off of Amazon back years ago when they announced it. Because first it came out, you couldn't find it anywhere. Like, check select retailers, and none of my retailers are storing this thing. And then they were selling on Amazon. Then you had the scalpers selling it for like, I'm not paying that. Okay. But then eventually I think they were trying to get rid of it. So I actually got a pretty good deal on the Ecto Cooler. I mean, it was still more expensive than like a 12-pack of Coke, but it wasn't that much more. I forget what I paid for it. I could probably look it up online. But,
well, I know that so just like that, Amazon is a great place for, if you're having trouble finding it anywhere else, you can find it, because not only does Amazon work directly with the retailers, but they, will carry secondhand and so forth. So there's something to be said there. Plus you can price compare, find different dealers with different prices. That's where I've gotten some of my Klingon wines, when they do the Klingon blood wine. I've gotten it through Amazon because Amazon has its finger on the pulse of shipping alcohol. I live in, Illinoistan. So sometimes it can be very difficult getting other states to ship alcohol here. I have many times had to have blood wine shipped to a friend of mine who lives over the Cheddar Curtain in Wisconsin, and then I got across the neutral zone to get it from him. I'm not even kidding. I'm using geeky terms, but technically it's actually true.
It's going to turn into your own Smokey and the Bandit movie.
Eastbound down, yeah, exactly. But that was a good rewatch last night. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed that movie. But yeah, and but the one thing that I guess we're not going to get, Twinkies a Hostess was going to put out a Twinkie with like a blue, ghostly cream in the center, and apparently that was dropped. That's not happening. This is a weird time for licensing on stuff like that because these movies are getting pushed off and pushed off. You got toys, you've got foods, you got things like that, and they're like, we've paid for the license, we've produced the product, we have a time frame that we have to release these in. And that's especially true with foods. Once you start producing food, it's got a shelf life.
Well, they expire, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Hostess decided to forget it. We're not gonna go forward with it. It also, unlike Ecto Cooler and Stay Puft, I think ghostly themed Twinkies didn't make a lot of sense. Although I'm holding out for if what they do, because now we're looking for a November release for Ghostbusters. Maybe they release in October to, Halloween thing. That would actually make a lot of sense.
That would be cool. And especially because they might have been planning to do that anyway, right? Because it's still a ghostly theme thing, right? So
I don't think they were originally intending that. I think they were intending it to be this month with the release of the movie. When the movie got pushed back again, I think it became... I'm speculating based on nothing. No inside sources, just off the top of my head. I'm guessing that they looked at it and said, well, if the movie's being pushed out to November, if we're going to do this, October's the time to do it, maybe.
Yeah.
But again, there's licensing issues involved there, and I don't know any of the details of their licensing, so I can't speak to that.
Gotcha. Zootopia has hi everybody. Okay. It's funny, back when a certain Star Wars movie came out, The Last Jedi, they were shoving like pictures of Rey and Kylo Ren on everything, but you didn't get specific foods really, okay, that were tied to the Star Wars thing. It wasn't.
There was very weak marketing for those movies.
Yeah. The only thing I saw was a Breyers ice cream themed, Star Wars themed ice cream. Okay. And granted, this is the good old days, and I'm not necessarily talking about the good old days, but I was saying that it was like the light and the dark side ice cream, and half was chocolate, half was vanilla, and they had things in them. I don't know if they were like little Star Wars shaped candies or something. I don't know. And Breyers sold that for a while. They were trying to get rid of it, though. I remember that.
and it's not. We tend to look at, people hated the sequels, that's why they didn't market it the way they did. It is more nuanced than that, really, because they over marketed the prequels, and people speculated on the toys and stuff and bought like crazy. And as the prequels went along, and there was all the feedback about Jar Jar Binks and so on and so forth, and there was a lot of vitriol from the fans about it, because in many ways the prequels were not as good. Well, in a lot of ways the prequels were not as good as the original trilogy. So
I think people were missing. I don't think they were quite as fun. I think that was what the issue was. They were not. Yeah, because it's more of a somber story, especially.
And it was not the action story that really push the kids to want to go out and buy a whole bunch of, droids for, and clones and stuff. The interest in the clones didn't come about until Clone Wars.
The cartoon series, yeah.
Which was way behind the scene. And so then when kids started buying those toys, they weren't buying the prequel movie toys. They were buying the more cartoon-styled action figures, But
I can't even think of any specific food based on the prequel trilogy, though. They had tie-ins with fast food place. Okay, yeah. What was it? What was it?
This is one that you will oftentimes see on videos that are like insane. I can't believe they did that tie-ins. Mm-hmm. There was a candy that they put out. It was basically a cherry lollipop. In the think in the style of, it was a different company, but think in the style of Pez. You know how with Pez, you pull back the head, you take the candy out.
Yeah.
Well, this was a dispenser that was in the shape of Jar Jar Binks' head. And as he stuck his tongue out, the tongue was the candy, the cherry candy. And you would suck on his tongue. I kid you not. Google it up. It's out there.
Oh, no. Oh, that's wrong.
I cannot tell you how that got past the licensing agreement and Lucasfilm check. You know what? I bet it went to Kathleen Kennedy's desk. She's like, yeah, this looks fine to me. Sure, whatever. Wait, what? Which is exactly what she's done with every movie she has overseen. Okay, whatever. Wait, what? No, scrap this whole movie and start all over again.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I kid you not.
It's like you're French kissing Jar Jar Binks. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. The big one I grew up with was, of course, Willy Wonka. Okay.
Yes.
I would argue Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory got as much play in my VCR as Star Wars did, and then they had the candy based on the movie and also stuff that wasn't in the movie.
Are you talking about the 90s era candy that came out from? You're talking back in the 80s with General Mills, right? General Mills was the one that financed the film specifically to do food tie-ins.
Oh, I don't know. Let's hear what you have to say.
And the original food tie-ins were not good. General Mills was always a cereal company. So when they put out a Wonka bar, from everything that I've heard, it was terrible. It was not yummy chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But later on, years later,
it was Nestle, right?
It was Nestle.
Yes.
And they didn't specifically license anything from the movies.
Correct.
That is why you don't see any pictures of Gene Wilder or any of that kind of stuff.
Cartoon Willy Wonka.
You have a cartoon Willy Wonka that was specifically licensed from the estate of Roald Dahl.
Okay, interesting.
And they put out, Nestle chocolate. So it was really, really yummy. And it was a riff on their own Nestle Crunch, but instead of crunch, Rice Krispie type of crackle in it, it was ground up chunks of graham cracker.
Yes.
And honestly, it was really yummy.
I got the Wonka bar, but the Wonka bar, I don't know if I just never saw it anywhere or if it didn't come out till the 90s. I know that they had Willy Wonka candy in the 80s because I was a candy junkie in the 80s when I was a kid. And, we come back from church and, you're good in church, we'll buy you a candy bar or
late 70s, early 80s. It was very hard to find. And it was very hard to find because when it was found, it did not sell very well.
Okay.
People have bought the candy bars and they still exist, and you can buy them for inordinate amounts of money on eBay. But, dude, it's not worth it. What you do is you go out and get the big bars of Hershey chocolate. You can download off the internet a label and slap it around. And, in fact, up on my bar, above my bar, I have a candy bar wrapped in the Wonka, original movie. I'll put it on camera. Maybe I'll do that on Friday. I'll show it on camera.
Cool.
And whatnot.
But
yeah.
Okay, because the candies I grew up with were the Gobstoppers. That was Nestle. Correct?
Yes, that was around the same era as the candies that I was just mentioning. They were little jawbreakers.
Little Jawbreakers, I love them. I still love
They
them.
were good.
I say I love them like I still don't, but I haven't had any in a couple of years. I should maybe.
They haven't had them in a long time.
Really?
It was a temporary license that they don't still have anymore. You can't find those anymore.
No wonder I haven't bought them
And
recently.
the Gobstoppers, I always found it interesting. They were called Gobstopper and not Everlasting Gobstopper. And I don't think that was a licensing problem. I think that was just the logistics of the fact that they weren't everlasting. So you don't really want to call it that, right?
Yeah, but I always called them that. They would last a while if you treated them right. Of course, I would usually break into them pretty. And they made them.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Gobstopper, right?
Yeah, well, more than a Tootsie Pop. I would. Well, actually,
right.
That stupid commercial with the bird. But yeah, I'm trying to think though. But yeah, I used to get the Nerds, and they had other things too. But Laffy Taffy, I think that was another Wonka one, wasn't it?
For whatever reason, yeah, they did move some of their other candies, their non-chocolate candies, ironically.
It was all fruit flavored stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, into their. In fact, you could at the party store, you were able to get like a variety pack of all their different Wonka candies. I think they even had, for a brief time, Nerds were part of the Wonka line. They had like
they were. You know where I got to look in a Cracker Barrel next time I'm in a Cracker Barrel. If anybody has it, it's them. So I'll see.
But there was a book that was put out by the Roald Dahl estate. I don't know if he actually had anything to do with it, but it was like a Roald Dahl cookbook, and it kind of gave you recipes to make some of the crazy, fantastical foods that appear in his various books. Not just Willy Wonka, but it's got a recipe in there for how to make lickable wallpaper and things like that. How to make, I can't remember, I think it was also from the original Willy Wonka book, how to make hot ice cream. It's really a warm meringue is what it is.
Oh, that's weird. Hot ice cream.
Yeah. But the idea was, hot ice cream for, cold winter nights is how it was depicted in the book. And they come up with some very interesting ways to come up to put together these recipes. Cool. It also talks about snozberries. We don't have to get too into that.
Yeah, we talked about that once before. Yes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, don't mention what it is in the chat, please.
No. Yeah. Let's try to keep it at least PG-13 tonight.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, we're getting to other subjects though. But I have to tell you though, I'm trying to think. Someone mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza. I never saw a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle branded pizza in the store. Doesn't mean there was. I know the Elio's put out like their own, this is the Turtles branded pizza, but it was really
I don't know about mass market, grocery store type pizza, but I know that they had 2 licenses for I think one was for the cartoon and one was for the movie with, I want to say, Domino's and Pizza Hut. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The movie was Domino's, whereas I believe maybe the series or at least the game, because I remember the game came out, it was for Pizza Hut. So
there you go. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think the video game, but that was more based on the TV series universe. Yeah.
And speculation is, and by speculation, I'm talking about the guys over at Midnight's Edge. We're talking about this in the past week. They basically said it seems like they licensed to both, and the one that gave them the most money for the movie got into the movie. The other one got the video game. But that's just a guess.
Oh, that's funny. I could see that.
It makes sense, and that's really how marketing works. And to be honest with you, that is the kind of product placement I like the most. Okay? Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you think pizza, you think, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What brand of pizza do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like? Okay, that's the licensing you want to see, right? And then if you're going to have, and especially these days, as geek culture has become more and more a thing, and cosplay and themed parties and whatnot, if I'm going to do a Teenage Mutant Ninja party, right, I'm going to have pizza. Who am I going to get my pizza from? Whoever it was I saw in the movie that licensed it, I'll tell you, I had a Superman party, and I had what was it? Cheerios. I had a box of Cheerios on the table. Not that I expected anyone in a party to have a bowl of cereal, but I was just kind of homaging the product placement in the Donner film.
Of course. Oh, wait a minute. No, I do think it was Domino's for the movie because I remember that's what was handed through the grate. But you're right about that concert video. Do you remember the Turtles concert video? Have you heard of this thing, Troy?
I have not. Tell me about
Okay,
it.
you can find it on YouTube. I think apparently it was sold at Pizza when you bought a pizza. You get yourself the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles concert video. Oh man, it's a bit ridiculous.
It sounds to me like the kind of ridiculous I'd probably get a kick out of, though.
You probably would.
Yeah.
It's like that late '80s, early '90s pop, like Pizza Power, and they're doing the dancing on the stage, and of course they have to fight the Shredder. It's ridiculous, and it was funny. I think around that same time they had the Turtles on Oprah Winfrey, and
you get a pizza, and you get a pizza, and you get a pizza.
No, what it was she was asking like, how do you look at April? Do you think any of you want her as a girlfriend? Like she brought that up, and then one of them said like, oh, I don't know if we have compatible parts, or it was something really awkward or something.
Well, if she brought it up, I mean,
this kid in the audience had his mouth wide open. That's what they're talking about. And it's like I forgot what he said, but it was something that might have been a little inappropriate for like.
I should think so. I should think so. That's just ridiculous.
Anyway,
Dude.
But yeah, I can't. It's funny. I thought I'd think of more of them, but like I said, there was that Last Jedi ice cream. I'm sure you can get it off eBay somewhere or get shipped to you with dry ice. What do you think?
I did get Netter and I did get there was a Superman themed ice cream when I think it was Superman. Was it Superman Returns, or maybe it was Man of Steel? I don't remember, but it was this red, blue, and yellow ice cream. It's actually pretty good, kind of a fruit flavor. We ate the ice cream and kept the carton, of course, as you do. I really miss going down to Metropolis for the Superman celebration. Don't know if it's going to happen this year. Depends on what's going on here in Illinois. But if the Superman celebration's happening in Metropolis, Illinois, Nanette and I might very well go down there. And we would love to see you guys down there. If you want to meet us in person, that would be a great meetup place.
Yeah, it would be cool. Oh, by the way, he mentioned pizza. Actually, pizza did have a tie-in with the newer Turtles movies that came out. The Michael Bay produced.
Oh, those anathemas, yeah. F you, Michael Bay.
He didn't direct them. I have a soft spot for those movies, and this is where you go, huh? It's like you're shaking your head at me.
You're a boomer. You are a boomer.
The new ones. Come on.
I don't know what to tell you about that, man. You're delusional.
Did you see them?
I saw enough of them. Okay.
They were good enough. That's what I thought. Okay, but maybe I'm being generous. Anyway.
I don't know. The only thing that I know about them, and it's all I need to know, is that video by Jenny Lorenzo at Geekgasm. F you, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
And when I say F you, I mean the actual words. Look it up that way. You will find it. Right. It is full of swears, but definitely worth the humor. Check it out.
Well, we're going to have some Turtles news tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but anyway, we should get to our first news topic. What do you think?
Yeah, so, and we should have talked about this before the stream. I set up the notes in a very particular order because I feel like we had a lot of general Hollywood news that could have been put under separate companies, Disney and so forth, but I felt like we should kind of talk about these things in terms of the state of Hollywood today. Just my thought.
This broke, I think, right after the stream last Sunday, but I thought it was important enough I wanted to hold on to it because this, of course, was talking about...
And there's been updates throughout the week.
Office. Yeah. And this is it. This is from Hollywood Update. Summer movie season is here, welcoming mass audiences back to the movies and launching a recovery from the beer bug pandemic, because I can't say its actual name on YouTube or say where it came from either, apparently. Okay, anyway, we won't talk about that on this channel. Okay.
I'll tell you what, on my channel, I only call it by the province that it came from, because that is the naming convention. I am not going to bow down to our CCP overlords and their desires.
The Woo Flu. Gotcha. Okay.
The Woo Flu. Oh, I like that. The Woo Flu.
Yeah, people. Yeah, we weren't allowed to come up with these names months ago, though, because, we had to be all respectful to people anyway, to a government that doesn't like us. Anyway.
I respect everybody equally, and that's not at all.
There you go. Okay. Here we go. The weekend's debut of Paramount's A Quiet Place 2 and Disney's Cruella introduced the most important mile marker for the domestic recovery effort since Tenet's release in September 2020. This time around, however, the results are significantly more upbeat. The domestic launch of A Quiet Place 2 has set a new pandemic benchmark with an estimated 48.3 million three-day haul from 3,726 screens. The 4-day figure, which spans the length of the Memorial Day weekend, is estimated to come in at 58.5 million. The film the film recorded the highest domestic debut for IMAX since January 2020, with an estimated 4.1 million 3-day and 5 million 4-day contribution from the premium format.
Yep.
Now, this is an interesting article, and at first I want to be you're thinking yay, yay, yay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking one of these movies was a success.
Yeah.
I don't know about
so
the other
buried
one, though, okay?
buried in there. Okay. So and this frames it. Okay. This is important. Okay. Because the focus here is on A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place did very, very well. And I think that kind of, you can take that at face value. Okay. It did very well. That tells you cinema is coming back. The doom and gloom that a lot of us were feeling, that it's all going to become streaming now. You know, the cinema is gone. It's dead. Forget about it. I've heard a couple commenters talk about this, not least of which Kamran Pasha on Midnight's Edge was saying that cinema is too much a part of American culture. And he made an analogy that I'd never heard anyone else make that I thought was absolutely brilliant. He compared going to the cinema to our forefathers, you know, our prehistoric forefathers, sitting around a campfire and listening to some shaman telling stories and drawing pictures on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, modern anthropologists know that when you look at cave paintings, if you look at them in a harsh light, you can take a photograph of them. But that is not the way the artists that put them up there intended them to be viewed. They were intended to be viewed at night by the light of a crackling fire, which gave them movement. And there are YouTube videos that have taken actual stills of cave paintings and, you know, made them look as though they would with flames flickering in front of them, and you can see movement. It's ingenious. You realize that these are very, very clever drawings. You know,
so this isn't just some Cro-Magnon just throwing paint at a wall. This was actually pretty intricate.
But these Cro-Magnon did throw paint at the wall with far greater intent than we realized.
Yes.
See, they were doing clever little tricks with their artwork that we didn't even realize. You know, because we just thought caveman, draw a picture. No. These were intelligent beings.
No.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's definitely some analogies to be made.
There's a big, large monolith out back. I'm gonna go touch it.
Yeah, exactly. But he made that correlation that storytelling, you know, is, we use the term archetypical very often, but you have to really understand what that means. It is very much embedded in our DNA, you know, and so this whole idea of the cinema is the modern equivalent of that, and we can't escape it. Not to mention what I've always talked about, and that's the business model behind it. How the cinema is an open market. You can make more and more and more money by people going back, seeing it again. Whereas if you have it on a streaming service, you only have as many streaming people as you have subscribers. And that's a finite and locked in number. You know? So that says something about your market. So that was me going all around the world supporting the fact that I feel that A Quiet Place is another demonstration of how, as lockdowns and, you know, resistance to lockdowns and our desire to get back out in the world and live life cinema is going to be a part of that, and people are willing to go back and spend money on movies they want to see. Now, again, we've got to preface this with there are very few movies that have come out. So there are less movies to go to. That means people will be funneled into certain movies, right?
Yeah.
Which brings us to the other movie that you were talking about, which is Cruella.
Yeah,
Why did Cruella not do better, given that it was the only other movie, that week that came out?
I have some thoughts on this, okay?
Yeah.
I'll read from the article. It's not long. Disney's live-action 101 Dalmatians spin-off Cruella drew 686,000 U.S. households over the 4-day Memorial Day holiday weekend, according to Tuesday figures from Samba TV. I'm taking this as Disney Plus. Okay, it's a number that's 39% less than the 4-day Labor Day traffic for another Disney Plus premiere title, Mulan, which pulled in 1.12 million U.S. households over September 4th through 7th, 2020.
Which was so it did worse than Mulan, and everyone in the industry is saying Mulan was a failure, a huge failure. What does that tell you?
But somehow Disney is talking about a Cruella sequel. What are says.
So we've talked about this before, right? Where we talk about a new season for a show and whatnot. Sometimes they never come
season before it even airs. Yeah, okay.
And sometimes it never comes to pass, right? And sometimes it's just a marketing slant. It's not that they're planning another season. It's just that they filmed 2 seasons together for money reasons, and now it's $0 to release another season. So of course you're going to get another season. Sometimes those are truncated seasons, so that means nothing. It's just marketing spin, because I can get my investor dollars up by saying, "Hey, it did so well. We're willing to back another season." Nah, you've already got it in the can. It's $0. It means nothing. Yeah. And by the same token, when they say, "Oh, we're planning to do a sequel. We're that confident in it. Please invest."
Yeah, like the Star Trek 4 that never gets made.
Exactly, yeah. or Section 31 and all that other BS that doesn't ever happen.
No.
But yeah, let's keep it right here, though. I think Disney is seeing over and over and over again. They make these big budget live action remakes of classic movies, and with a few exceptions, they're not doing well. People are not, and they get all the pomp and circumstance and the reviews, and we love them, they're so wonderful. But they don't really bring in the dollars.
I think, I have to say, I'm actually starting to wonder, too, if some of these classic Disney properties have a shelf life. 101 Dalmatians came out in the 60s. Then you got the remakes with Glenn Close. Was that in the 90s, I believe, late 90s? And there was the live action versions. And then they kind of just petered off. And now they're trying it again with like a sympathetic origin story for one of your big villains. Is the audience there anymore for Cruella or anything 101 Dalmatians related? That's another thing I'm wondering.
I feel like I always say that history is the best indicator of what's going to come. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? So if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, look to the past. And Disney has a long history of direct-to-DVD sequels and prequels that have never done well financially. They made them cheap. They probably pulled a profit, but they've always been considered dubious quality at best.
Cinderella Happily Ever After.
Exactly.
Return to Neverland. In fact, I think Return to Neverland, didn't that get a theatrical release?
It may have.
It wasn't made for video production, but I think they gave it a brief theatrical run just to see how it would do.
There was what was the Lion King 2.5 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, these crazy, ridiculous, stupid, ill-conceived. Return of Jafar. Oh my gosh. These are horrible cash grabs, and they cheapen. See, there used to be this idea at Disney, this whole the Disney Vault, right, where we would hide the classics away, and they only come out for a brief period of time, so get it while you can before it goes away. That's a marketing stunt, right? But it's premised on the idea that these are classics that are valuable, that people will pay for. When you start saturating the market with a bunch of crap sequels directly to DVD, people are like, I don't care. Disney DVDs suck.
Yeah, I am going to say this for Return of the Jafar. I did think that was in a way a pilot for the Aladdin series. They had to explain how I mean, I don't know, and
which
it's not perfect.
Again, that's
but I really like that series that came out.
That is again marketing for their streaming service. This was before there was a streaming service. It was just the Disney Channel on cable, right?
Yeah.
But they needed content, and it was not as good as the classic that it was spun off of. You got to expect that,
right?
And take it for what it's worth. So you are pointing out a difference and a nuance in the marketing, but there is definitely that analogy.
It was interesting you brought that up, though. A lot of the time, these animated series would premiere on the Disney Channel first, and then they would move to the regular syndication on regular TV.
Right.
Did you know that? Yeah, I remember that now. Mm-hmm.
And so basically what you have is, I feel it's cheapening of the brand. I think the market sees it as cheapening of the brand. I think even the normies, people that aren't quite as analytical, the people I call the popcorn eaters, are starting to look and go, we don't need a prequel about Cruella and find out what her history is. And they look at the promos for it and they go, okay, so the Devil Wears Prada,
Again.
making beyond. Yeah, exactly. I'm not interested in that.
A daughter just says, I saw the clip of the Dalmatians tackling Corella's mother over a cliff, and I couldn't stop laughing. Here's the thing. I believe this was made because of the success of Maleficent, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because they did the live-action version of that. I think with that, they didn't want to do a straight-up... Here's the thing. The weird thing about Disney, they have it where they'll redo a classic story like Cinderella, but when they do the live-action version, it's kind of its own story. It has some elements from the cartoon movie, but they made it its own thing. I think they were trying the same thing. They didn't want to just do Sleeping Beauty again, so they did Maleficent. And, whether or not you like that movie, they were trying to do something
think
original.
about this. Yeah. Think about this, okay? You have not Maleficent. You have Cruella in the sympathetic villain role, right? She's now the hero, essentially, or anti-hero, or whatever you want to call her. We have to depict now the Dalmatians as the bad guys. Where's PETA on this? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Actually, they're napping right now. Come on, this is.
Well, I mean, it's no different than the whole Chauvin case. Where are all these left wing people that are anti-prison, and want to let all the child diddlers out, but they're going to be completely silent when they're incarcerating a police officer.
Yeah, of course they are.
Double standards, and you kind of lose your argument when you're silent on these things. Sometimes you gotta do what the Civil Liberties Union does, and sometimes swallow your pride and support someone you don't normally support because you have to be intellectually honest. I don't know. Well, but anyway, I think we're getting a little off topic. But this is absolutely another one of those examples of let's twist the narrative, and the audience is like, yeah, I'm not there for that. I don't care. And they didn't. They didn't subscribe. They didn't order it.
Do they care enough about Cruella de Vil? That's another thing. Like maybe the big selling point of the 101 Dalmatians are the 101 Dalmatians. If people like Dalmatians,
maybe
they don't care about the villain at all. Maybe they only care about the villain. As
kind of a sad side story to 101 Dalmatians is every time there's been 101 Dalmatians. What was it? 102 Dalmatians. The live action version of 101 Dalmatians. There's been an uptick in people adopting Dalmatians as pets. Unfortunately, the downside, the dark side of that is Dalmatians require a great deal of attention. They're the type of dog that you have to pay a lot of attention to. You've got to play with. You've got to give a lot of room to run around in the backyard and play. If you are somebody who is, a wife and a husband and you work full time, these are not dogs you can crate for 8 hours a day.
Nope.
And it does not work. And people realize that, and then they, dump them on pounds. And unfortunately, you end up with a Cruella de Vil situation where a lot of Dalmatians are being put down because they're, being abandoned. The dark side of pet ownership is there are these farms that breed dogs that people want. And if there's a big uptick, they breed a lot of these dogs, and then people turn around and don't want them. Now you have a whole bunch of these dogs in the pounds that nobody's adopting, and they all get euthanized.
That's horrible. That's why I tend to get, whenever we tend to get our dogs from pounds, but yeah, okay.
And know the breed that you're adopting. When you adopt a breed, you know what you're getting into. If you don't do that and you just get it because, they're cute, or, I saw a movie, they had this breed of dog in it. No. Understand the breed. There's a difference between what you see in the movie and reality. Surprise, Yeah.
Okay. So should we move on, I think? We'll keep in touch on that. I mean, keep up to date on that Corolla sequel that's going to come out never anyway, but or as a
I hope for their sake.
All right, so TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and other Paramount movies allegedly part of massive tax fraud. Yeah, because I remember first sending Troy this article about how Seth Rogen was producing a new Turtles animated movie. And
we talked about that last week, and we talked about Seth Rogen and his really stupid BS comments, his left-wing, vomit.
I was thinking when I saw that, you will beg to have Michael Bay back, after Seth Rogen's.
Honestly, you might have a point there. Seth Rogen is a piece of trash. He just is. By the way, the opinions of Troy Pacelli do not necessarily reflect those of Aged Boomer and his channel. Just gonna throw that out there.
I mean. No, I'm not really.
Your opinions are your own. You can state whatever you want to.
I don't care that much for Seth Rogen these days. In the early days, he was kind of funny on some of the. I like Superbad. I thought that was a bit trashy humor, but I thought it was funny. But now he's going back and saying, it wasn't appropriate back then, and now he's just trying to.
He's an ass. He's a hypocritical ass, and he has no business in Hollywood at this point, to be honest with you. But that's
how his story ends up. But I don't care about this new Turtles cartoon. But this was more interesting story. Apparently, there's some tax things going on.
Yeah. So Paramount, Viacom, CBS has a big tax scandal going on, and there's a lot of speculation in the business world that all of this talk from Seth Rogen, everything about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and everything, it's, hey, look at this. Pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to the fact that we're being investigated for tax fraud. And has Paramount done something that's unique, that's terrible, that's wrong? Honestly, I think most people know that Hollywood has their own creative accounting, shall we say. And this is nothing new. But somebody must have pissed off the wrong people because they're being looked at. However, we are reporting on it because it's in the news, but don't expect this to be, a one and done, and, this is going to be investigated and we'll have an update next week and then it'll go away. No, this is something that you can expect to maybe not even hear about for another year or two.
Okay.
Because remember, we reported about a year ago, maybe it was about 6 months ago, about Disney being investigated for tax fraud. And that's still going on. These things tend to go for years.
We get updates every now and then, because of some of their creative accounting over there.
So if you are short attention span theater, you're probably going to forget about this next week, and you won't even remember it a year from now when we give you an update on it.
But apparently, this is about having claims for different countries holding claims to different properties. Is that what I'm getting from this? I can read a little bit, from this.
Go ahead.
But Viacom CBS's Paramount Pictures has reported using an elaborate strategy to avoid paying U.S. taxes on its entertainment properties. The mass media conglomerate formed through the merger of CBS and Viacom in 2019. Company's primary properties include Paramount Pictures, CBS Entertainment, MTV, Nickelodeon. Yeah, we all know that. Viacom CBS is also as an international division to manage the international versions of the own networks. Some of the company's most notable franchises include SpongeBob, Star Trek, Mission Impossible. So, in 2016...
Star Trek is just doing wonderfully.
Yes, and they can't even sell the lower decks. Anyway, in 2016, a former Viacom executive sued after being fired for calling out the company's tax avoidance, specifically in response to a plan to attribute the revenue from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the Netherlands. Though both parties settled, Viacom CBS continues to conduct tax practices to take advantage of international systems.
Yep.
As according to a study conducted by the Center for Research on Multinational Corporations via the New York Times, Viacom CBS has avoided paying U.S. taxes on its entertainment properties by licensing the international rights through use of tax shelters and subsidies in Barbados, the Bahamas, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Britain.
Yep.
The report was conducted in response to the company's use of Dutch subsidiaries to take in television revenue.
Yep. Now, again, I do want to underscore this with keeping this in context. This sounds really, really bad, but sadly, this is not uncommon. This is actually more or less standard operating procedure for these studios. So the fact that this is happening is, let's go back to the Federal Trade Commission that investigates these. They know this happens, and they just ignore it. Until somebody comes out and says, hey, look at this. I'm going to the media with this. You need to investigate this. Okay, well, I guess we got to now go investigate it. That's what happened to Disney. Somebody maybe a little naively said, hey, this is wrong. You should not be doing this. I am going to report you. Okay, well, you're fired. Okay, well, I'm going to report you. Well, now it hits the news and everybody's aware of it, and the government actually has to investigate. Same thing is happening here. You have somebody saying, hey, this is wrong. You're not supposed to do this. Yeah, well, I don't care what you say. Well, okay, I'm going to report you. And now it's in the media. And I have a certain sense of schadenfreude every time this happens. When it happened to Disney, when it happens to Paramount, I feel like, you know what? You effed over all of your supporters. Screw you. Glad it's happening.
Oh man, I don't know. Oh, it's funny. Josh Weezy is asking, have you seen anything new? Any new content? Anything new? Any new content on Paramount Plus? Just wondering. I have Paramount Plus for the time being, and no, there's nothing new on there.
We have talked.
They did was the Stand reboot, the Stand remake. Okay,
we have talked about this repeatedly. These studios make zero sense to me. Okay, we said when we started the whole concept of the streaming wars, I said Disney's going to come out the victor in this because they have their entire back catalog, and they have all of 20th Century Fox, and they've got Lucasfilm, and they've got Marvel, and they've got all of this content, and people will pay for it because that's a heck of a library. That's more than anyone else has. And they sit on it. It's not out there.
Yeah.
What the heck are you waiting for, Disney? Do you want subscribers or not? And it's the same thing with all of these other. You should have every single thing you have up in your library. You want it? Come subscribe to it.
Yeah, I saw a video on this recently, how it wasn't turning out to be the catch-all that everybody thought it was going to be. But I am going to give Disney Plus credit for one thing. There's always a new show in the pipeline ready to premiere, it seems. Like they're going to do Loki. And I'm not saying these shows are necessarily things I want to watch, but Paramount...
I give them no credit for that, because that's throwing money at something when you already have spent the money. You can, for $0, you can add value to your subscription service. It costs you nothing to put up every single movie you've ever made. And if you want, go ahead and put your this comes from a different time, so you might be offended. Don't blame us. Fine. Get it out there. If I knew that I could every movie I ever remember ever seeing from Disney, I could see, maybe I'd subscribe to Disney. Maybe that would even compensate the whole Gina Carano thing. Maybe.
Keep in mind, they own 20th Century. They own 20th Century Fox.
Everything that 20th Century Fox has ever put out should be on, if not Disney Plus, their Hulu, their affiliate. Yeah. Exactly. They have so mismanaged that relationship. They deserve to frickin' go bankrupt. They really do.
But as far as
just from a pure business standpoint, not from anything ideological from me.
But as far as Paramount Plus goes, they're always talking about, it's Picard season 2. Where is it? Not that I even want to watch it, but where is it? It's like they announced.
Well, they are way, way behind on filming for it because of the coof and because of insurance on Picard, Stewart. And you better believe you really are. This is what I was talking about earlier. You really are going to get 2 seasons. You're going to get a season 2 and a season 3 because they're filming them back to back. And they're truncated seasons. It's really only 1 more season, but they're stretching it out to 2 seasons.
It'll have a nice cliffhanger in between the 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
He's an android now. I'm just letting that out there.
Well, until Q comes along and goes, I don't like that whole robot thing. Bing, you're human again.
That'd be funny if he did that. He should, because that's the writers getting them out of a...
I don't know, because there's always... You get this hope, right? Every time they mention, they're bringing in this character, they're going to bring in that character, whatever, and the fans get all excited, and they're like, good, they're going to get it on track, and then they shit all over it. You know?
There was a wonderful scene in Picard where 7 of 9 gets into, I guess, the Borg Queen part of the Borg ship when the Romulans have to take over. Okay, I'm gonna take over this Borg ship, and I'm like, oh crap, she could mess up the whole Romulan fleet or whatever's there, right? And then it just peters out, and nothing happens. Okay, you know what I mean? It just, I'm expecting. It's like when you see this moment about to happen, and then they throw it away. I guess that's what you call.
They threw away all the character development that ever happened with any of these characters, so I just don't care anymore. It's like Jake Skywalker, That's how I have to look at this. This is Jake Picard, and someone else of 9.
This is sad, Picard.
Yeah.
I hate you,
Picard.
I'm
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know. And what's like?
I apologize for being a white male.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they bring class into it. They bring class into it, like, I have all this antique. You have antique furniture in our heirloom estate, and I'm thinking, Earth in the future has gotten past all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. When you have a post-scarcity society, and you can have anything you ever wanted from a replicator, and you're living out in the desert eating bugs, that's because you are a dumbass and you chose that life.
It makes no sense. I mean, the worst that might happen to you is you might become like Tom Paris was, like I think he was bumming around for a bit after he got out of jail, right? And before Janeway got him back on the ship, remember? But that was
right. But again, that was entirely because of choices he made in his life. But see, we cannot deal with that in modern society. The idea that you have a responsibility for your life and how it turns out.
That's true.
It's all because of my ex-wife, and it's all because the man is keeping me down, and systemic racism, and because I'm a woman, and
that's funny.
I feel like a woman or whatever.
It's because of Picard's bad choices.
You want to tell me something, honey?
Man, I feel like a woman. Da 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 da.
What?
I had to throw a song in there.
Okay. then I had to add a question. Never mind. Okay.
No. She was saying, "What? You feel like a woman?"
Okay,
something I need to know.
Hey, no judgment here. Anyway,
yeah, right.
So anyway, I didn't care that much around Picard when it was the whole it's Picard's fault because they didn't handle
honestly,
correctly. It's Federation's fault because they hate Romulans and they
putting aside the mishandling of franchises, we're also looking at the mishandling of business. So we again have people in positions that aren't handling internal politics in an intelligent way, that are not handling their dollars in an intelligent way. If you are going to do something underhanded and devious, maybe be a little bit more sophisticated about it. Just saying. But
All
that's what's happening with Paramount right now.
Okay, well, moving on. They don't interest me, but this kind of does. Fast and the Furious 9 falls 85% in China, drops 52% elsewhere. I have to say, as a fan of this series, okay.
Okay.
I don't like the
Okay.
term franchise. I guess if it's Hobbs and Shaw, I guess it's now a franchise because that's a spin-off movie. But I didn't care for Hobbs and Shaw, but the mainline series, I've liked all of them, and it's a guilty pleasure. I don't
Okay.
care. They're good fun. They are the Smokey and the Bandit of
No, how did someone put it? Man Drive Fast.
Yeah.
Man Drive Fast movie.
Yes.
I get the appeal there. Absolutely.
It's the Smokey and the Bandit of today. That's what these movies are.
Yeah,
okay?
I dig it.
And I do like them, and they get a little more over the top with each one, but not so over the top that I think it's just dumb. Your mileage may vary, so I'm not going to say you may like these or not. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy them. And I'm thinking Fast and the Furious 9, bombing in China. I'm like, is this movie coming out? I didn't even know this was coming out this year.
But it didn't come out right away in the United States. It came out first in Taiwan.
Ooh.
And that's where we got into our discussion last week about John Cena apologizing in Mandarin for referencing how Taiwan was the first country that it came out in, and China hit, well, specifically the CCP hit the roof.
Yeah.
They flipped out.
Yeah.
Because they do not acknowledge Taiwan as a sovereign country. And I'm sorry, they are a sovereign country. And let me tell you something. I was on a YouTuber's commentary, a girl by the name of Trillium. She basically does videos that I don't know how many people would be interested in. She talks about gardening. She does landscaping, for a living. But she happened to have made a comment about a video game that caused a great big from the left-wing wackadoos.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And she got shut down. And luckily, some of the people from the Comicsgate community kind of rallied around her. And she opened up a new YouTube channel with a lot of people following her. And she is now not afraid to share her opinions about things. And let me tell you, she's a sweet girl.
I like her videos, yeah.
She's the type of person that probably is way left of where I am, but she is open-minded enough that we can totally meet in the middle. She is open to seeing. She even talks about a neighbor of hers who's a big Trump supporter, and she's like, I kind of see a lot of his points, when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect the hell out of her for that. Well, she commented on the John Cena thing. And yeah. I said, he's just a hypocritical cuck, and I will never support him. He may as well just move to China now. And to be honest with you, it'll be interesting to see if China even accepts him. He may have, tanked Fast and the Furious over there, and somebody with a name that's in Chinese characters, with the Chinese symbol for their icon, comes and starts trolling. And I'm like, okay, fine. I am more than happy to engage for the purpose of helping Trillium get some engagement on her video. Huh. And they're spewing all of this, Chinese rhetoric. And, actually, the movie did this many millions of dollars in China and blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, let's see how it does in the coming week. We'll see. And we'll see if the CCP decides to allow another movie with John Cena in it ever again. And I said something about, you can spew all the Chinese rhetoric you want to and propaganda. Oh, why are you being racist? I'm like, there's nothing racist about it. This has nothing to do with race. This has to do with politics. This has to do with the CCP. It
has to do with a government in a country.
And I'm like, you just keep going. You just keep, trying to put words in my mouth. That's fine. That doesn't mean what you say I mean is not what I mean, but you go ahead. But you know what? I've decided I'm done with this conversation. From now on, you just keep spewing your rhetoric and I will respond with song lyrics. And I literally did that. Every time they would come back with, and this about Mother China, and this in history and business, and this is what Biden is saying. What is Biden saying? And blah, 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 and this and that. And I would just come back with, lyrics from an Elvis Presley song, or You Can't Hide Your Lion Eyes, and, all this other stuff. And just poke, 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 poke.
No, Elvis will never sell out to China. Because he's no longer with us. Anyway.
Well, we have deep fake now, so maybe he will. Who knows?
Anyway, Justin Lin's F9 took a brutal tumble in China, but essentially held up in its other holdover markets. Interesting. The film received earned $20.76 million in China this weekend, a drop of 85%. That's a lot from last weekend's $136 million launch. However, the Vin Diesel / John Cena film Sharp Decline in China has little to nothing to do with the controversy concerning Cena walking back the offhand declaration of Taiwan.
No, it has to do with his initial screw up. His apology means 0 to China.
No, well, Detective Chinatown 3 broke records over there.
It did, and then it stopped. What does that tell you? That tells you more about what will happen if there's another movie than it does about this current movie.
What I'm curious, though, is that some people were arguing, I think he mentioned this article, that maybe people were avoiding seeing it because of the social credit thing over there, that if you go see this movie, you'll lose points in your social credit
score. There's a huge element there, absolutely.
This movie
again, I'm telling you, the CCP runs everything over there, and if they say it's bad, then you don't do it. And if they say John Cena is persona non grata, we don't go see his movies. Done. But I've always said you can't serve two masters. If you want to serve China, you can't serve the U.S. And you pull something like that. This has been a PR nightmare for John Cena. He is the anti-Gina, is what he is. As many people rallied around Gina are shunning John Cena. This is hysterical.
I'm going to be very curious to see how this movie performs in the United States when it comes out over here.
And you watch, it's going to tank, and they're going to blame the coof.
No, you can't do that because, of course, movies are starting to do better right now. I am also going to say
you can't intellectually, honestly do that, but they will. Mark my words.
Here's what else is going on. I don't know if it's going to tank or not. I watched the trailer for it. As a long time, because I didn't realize, a trailer had been released for this, so I decided to watch it. As a long-time Fast and the Furious fan, this looks as good, if not better, than all the other movies that have come out. One of the things I always loved about this series is that it builds on characters. Like, they'll introduce a character in a movie, and then they'll come back, and it just keeps adding until it's this huge group, kind of like the Ocean's movies, right? You keep adding people. Yesterday's villains become today's heroes, fighting a new villain with the heroes. You understand it becomes like they reform heroes and stuff. And John Cena, I guess, is playing Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel's character's younger brother, which I wasn't sure if that was ever even mentioned in any of the movies. Charlize Theron's back as the villain, like she was, I believe, in Fast 8. The idea was that was supposed to be Fast 8 was supposed to be part one of a trilogy that would end the series, but then you could always do spin-off movies or do it Fast and the Furious universe where you have like Hobbs and Shaw movies and other things like that. I think that's what they're planning to do with this. It's Universal's biggest series right now. This is Universal Studios' big moneymaker. It's, I can criticize them making Fast and the Furious movies. That's not my criticism. It's that's all been their only focus. But this John Cena thing's been a huge foul up. I don't know if it's going to affect or not affect U.S. ticket sales. Because I am going to say this. If people are starved just to go out to a movie and feel normal again, one, not get preached at, because these movies aren't really preachy. They're actually about family and about how,
I'm going to stop you right there. They blew that. This whole John Cena thing.
Maybe.
Threw away any high ground they had about not being preachy. If you were going to pull in the people that were going to be like, okay, well, this is a safe movie to go see. No. Those are the same people that are going to go, I am not going to support a movie that John Cena is in now after this whole Mandarin thing.
I am going to say something, though. If this movie does do badly, it is because of the Cena thing. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Oh, it's the pandemic. Oh, people didn't want to go out. Because I think I'm saying they will say go to movies. Okay,
I am saying they will claim that. That does not make it
It's
true.
a lie.
I
It's a
agree
lie.
with you
It will be a lie unless they do.
100,000%. I agree with you.
So
but
my point is
they will say it.
Is the American audience, first off, are they aware of this? I think they are. Because I think it's been blasted in media on all fronts.
It's been all over the socialist
news outlets,
media.
Even the news outlets I don't like.
Screw the news outlets. Nobody's paying attention to those. It's been all over socialist
everywhere.
media.
Everywhere. It's all over the place. Okay, my point. Even people who no one's cutting him slack on any side, and this makes the movie look bad. So it didn't help in China, and it could hurt it over here. Now we'll see if people ignore it if they don't. You think?
I feel like The Rock was learned his lesson very quickly from something very minor. He came out in support of Biden during the last election, and he took a lot of flack for that. And I think I think he's intelligent enough to know maybe I should just stay away from politics altogether.
That's true, but but what Cena did is a step beyond that, though.
This is far and away beyond that.
Because actors.
This was freaking anti-American, is what it was.
Supported their thing. Well, you're bowing down to a foreign government that is not your own government, a foreign government that many Americans who have lived in China and see things on the ground is actually kind of hostile.
This was one step away from being seen in public doing an open-handed, salute.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's up there, and it's if that movie does badly over here, it's because of the Cena thing. Okay, I'm not going to take any other excuses.
No, I agree, and I will be right there with you on that.
They want to get out of the house. They want to see they want to see a good movie. And from the trailer, it looks as good as the other Fast and Furious. It looks over the top. And like I say,
I'll go see Cruella de Vil before I see that.
Yeah, I always give this movie series credit. Diverse cast, but that isn't forced. Everything is natural. All these people, we love all the characters in these movies. And I also love the fact how you'll have the big villain in one movie, and then later on, I'm kind of working for the good guys now, because that's how it works. Even the Vin Diesel character was a sort of villain in the first movie. Not quite. I mean, you understood where he's coming from, but he was the antagonist might be a better word for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
he was a heavy that ended up becoming more sympathetic. Sure.
Yeah, well, that was the weird thing about the movie, was that the hero became actually sympathetic to him at the end, that he let him go, and that's what got him into trouble with the police. He got kicked off the police department because of that, because he let him go, because he actually felt kind of bad for the Dominic Toretto character. He was also in love with his sister. But anyway, I like these movies.
I understand. No, I do not fault you for that. Yeah. I'm just saying that this Cena thing, it may as well.
Yes,
but it's something that I think a franchise like this can come back from if they drop Cena. If like you were saying, they're doing spin-offs with other characters and stuff like that.
He's playing the villain, so it depends on what they do with him in this movie, the villain. If they have him sent to jail or kill him off. Of course, killing off in a Fast and the Furious movie means nothing, because they can still come back. But my point is, if they or at least he dies in an explosion, then they don't have to bring him back. Do you understand? Yeah. But I think he's done a lot of damage to his career. And really, in my opinion, this is a career that was kind of starting out in Hollywood. I mean, I know he's been in some off things, but he's not been in major movies like this before.
Well, I can tell you the movie's already in the can, so it is what it is.
They can't change it. No,
the best you can hope for is that if there's an F-10, he gets killed off screen, and he's just the way he blew up in that refinery accident, that was ridiculous. Man, I saw his head go flying off of his body.
They did something ridiculous, because I think in the third Fast and the Furious movie, it actually takes place in a later time period than the other sequels happened, because they kill off this one character, this one Japanese character that they like so much, they had to bring him back. So they made the other movies like prequels to this one. And Lucas Black, you know who Lucas Black is? I think the guy who played he was in Sling Blade. He was on American Gothic. Do you know what I'm talking about? He always played the stereotypical Southern kid on a lot of television shows. He's on NCS New Orleans, I think, right? And which role does he play on New Orleans? He's one of the cops, I think. I don't know. He's one of the CSI guys. I don't watch the show, but I know he's on there. He has like a Southern accent. Okay. But that doesn't narrow it down on New Orleans. Okay. Anyway, the point is in Fast and the Furious 3, he's playing.
Oh, I do know who you mean. Yeah. Because he had actually taken a break from the show to film something for Fast and Furious. Okay, I know exactly who you mean.
He plays a teenager in that, and then like they have to have him come back. I think in part 7 or part 8, and it's years later. But the scene takes place right after the third one, and you can see the old scene of him. Vin Diesel meeting him in the movie. And then you see him; he's aged a little bit, guys.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I just rolled with it, and I frankly I don't know why they didn't add him to the crew after that. But anyway, okay. Moving on. What are we talking about here? Okay.
Well, this actually pivots directly into the next piece that
yes.
Disney execs
reportedly Disney execs reportedly monitoring John Cena and China's situation. Interesting.
Now, this is obviously the Fast and the Furious franchise is not a Disney product. So why is Disney paying attention to this? Disney is paying attention to this because this is part of a bigger story of Hollywood. In fact, I haven't even had a chance to watch the video yet, but Midnight's Edge just did something about is Hollywood leaving China. Everything I've been saying all along about you can't serve two masters, I think Hollywood is starting to realize that and going, maybe it's time to divorce ourselves from China.
I am going to say this. Think about it if you're an actor and you have to watch your P's and Q's when it comes now, I guess, to political correctness if you're that way, right?
Yeah.
But now you also have to worry about what's politically correct in other countries that you're selling a movie in, and that could be the opposite of what
and it's almost impossible. In fact, it's kind of ridiculous. And furthermore, it's not even just being politically correct, because if I could just be silent, not express my politics, not say what I believe, and then I don't run the risk of offending anyone, right? No. Now it's gotten to the point where you must say these things or you won't be accepted. But now that puts you in a situation where if I don't express what my pronouns are, then it's still going to tick off half of my supporter base. I'm screwed either way. That's why someone like Gina says, no, I'm not going to play that game. Right.
This could be what ends all of this nonsense, is that the number of things that you can or cannot say pile up to the point where you just can't take it anymore, and people are just going to say screw it.
And this is why I made the point about The Rock, about I'm sorry, what's his real name?
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson, thank you. Because he doesn't even go by The Rock anymore. Dwayne Johnson seems to have realized that, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go back to the more professional way it used to be, where we just don't talk politics, you know. And there's still a lot of people in Hollywood that have kept their mouths shut all this time and done just fine for themselves.
You know what? That's fine. And I'll be blunt. I've never even cared even what candidate you support. I don't like being it's the bullying and the fact that certain people on certain sides of the guy will go after and try and destroy your life for having a political opinion they don't agree with. I mean, you know, we can agree to disagree. That was the old saying. Remember those days?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Anyway, editor's note. Okay. F9's Fast and the Furious. John Cena received backlash after posting a recording that some felt seemed like a quote-unquote hostage video in which he begged for forgiveness from the Chinese people and the Chinese communist government for calling Taiwan a country.
Yeah, and the reason it was is because it was enforced speech. It was his publicist coming to him saying, you must say this. This is why I draw the correlation to Gina Carano. Because the same thing was told to Gina Carano. You have to apologize for this, this, and this. And she just said no. You know,
I think apologizing is a bad idea.
Yep.
That's what I'm starting to think.
And just think about it from the average person, okay? If you really do mess up, okay, and you're like, you know what? That was wrong. I never should have said that. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, and it's a genuine apology. Those are the times people look and go, yeah, I can kind of see that. I can forgive that. That takes a big person to make that kind of an apology. But when it's this kind of insincere apology, and you know they're doing it just for political reasons, you lose points.
You lose points with both sides.
Yes,
probably. Yeah,
exactly. Because nobody accepts your apology, and everybody who would have agreed with you now is turned against you too. You lose it all. There is no upside. That's why they always say that. And look, people still respect standing for your convictions, and that's why when it comes to things like pronouns, come at me about my pronouns, okay? You know what pronouns are? Pronouns are the words that I use to talk about you in the third person. That means when you're not around. Mm-hmm. You don't get to tell me how I talk about you, okay? If you want to influence how I talk about you, have a positive influence on me.
They are wanting to control how you think about them.
And you cannot do that. You cannot put words in my mouth. And that's why I will never express what I want my pronouns to be. I communicate to you what my pronouns are by the way I talk and interact with you. Mm-hmm. Okay? The way I dress, the way I wear my facial hair, all the things about me should tell you what I want my pronouns to be. If you want to use some other pronouns to describe me, go for it. And see if people know what the heck you're talking about. Huh?
No,
who are you talking about? It is communication. It is what words mean. Okay, and communication isn't just words. Communication is how you dress, how you present yourself, how you talk to people. That says a great deal more sometimes than I prefer to be called. Yeah, well, I don't care what you prefer to be called. Your birth certificate says this, and you dress like this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would prefer that when I talk about you to other people, I don't say, that aged boomer, he's a complete dick. But you don't get to say that. You have to convince me that you're not one in the first place so that I never do say that.
That's what you say about me?
No, I'm just saying you wouldn't want me to say that. No, and that's exactly my point. Because you've never been a dick to me, I would never say that to someone.
You know what? It's the old word respect. Okay?
Exactly. Bingo. And respect is earned, not demanded in your YouTube, your not YouTube, your Twitter handle. You know?
No, there are other types of people that demand respect when it's not earned. They're called criminals. But anyway, okay, you know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And egotists. Yeah. But basically, this is what we're coming down to. I think Hollywood is starting to. It's what I've been saying all along, and people didn't buy it. But eventually, the people with the money start to say, "Enough, enough." And we're now going to run a business.
Let's see. Prior to the pandemic, Hollywood was utterly thrilled with the idea of fully integrating their businesses with the Chinese market. Yeah, I think Iger even has some concerns over there, doesn't he?
We'll be getting into Iger a little bit too. Yeah.
The philosophical spin for the West was that the American entertainment would act as an important force in Chinese culture and allowing Western entertainment corporations to target an exponentially increasing market that they could use to inflate their stockholder values. What? So our entertainment would change their society? Is that what they were thinking?
Well, but that is exactly what the cultural Marxists are trying to do here, right? All of this stuff that we've been talking about on this channel, about our franchises being ruined, history being rewritten, tear down all the statues, rewriting history, the 16 whatever project, and all this kind of stuff. If you can rewrite all of those things, you change minds.
Yes.
Get into the schools. Teach radical theories to our kids, you change minds. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. China understands that. And so that's why they take such a strong iron hand about what movies they will allow to be shown in China.
But then it gets to a point where they don't even want stuff that they object to showing up in the movies we watch over here. And we've seen this with the
because they're trying to change the minds over here too. And we have enough socialists over here that agree with them,
like
BLM and Antifa and all these other organizations that have been so prolific in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well,
not to mention all the Hollywood know-nothings.
Yes. Anyway, Western entertainment might well felt that they could create more freedom in China, but the opposite has been true. The communist government has instead used its connections to the worldwide free market to force Western corporations to follow their stipulations instead of the other way around. Yes. So it's getting attacked on all ends, it seems, entertainment.
Yep.
If there is something even remotely offensive to the Chinese government, Hollywood strips away the material or faces the refusal of entry for that film and future films the studio creates. Wow. So they could just say, hey, Universal, you're out of here. Okay.
Yep.
And as far as revenue from China goes, the companies are finding that box office returns are no sure thing.
And now, as Disney is starting to deal with the whole, being investigated and whatnot that I alluded to earlier, they are really starting to look at is it really worthwhile to continue to try doing business over there? Maybe it's time to cut our losses.
Well, yeah, well, they make a point in this article, too. Like, if the government is not liking this movie and it's still playing, are you as a Chinese citizen going to want to go see it? If maybe
absolutely not. Because as you pointed out, there's the whole, cultural currency over there.
You'll be tied to a chair, and the police will say, "Why'd you buy a ticket to Fast Furious 9?" Yeah. It's like it's a trap. I don't know. This is getting terrifying. I mean, this is. It really depresses me what happened with Hong Kong. Hong Kong was such a force for cinema, and I was hoping at that them reacquiring Hong Kong might have a more positive influence on the mainland. Instead, we've seen the opposite happening. Okay, but
it's a long-term thing. I think you have a lot of people in Hong Kong that lived under the Western freedoms that they enjoyed, now being subjugated. You're going to see a lot of the same kind of resentments and hatreds that you're seeing right here in the U.S. right now.
Well, I don't know. They say they always have people over there whispering, like the young kids will whisper about talking about having a revolution, but I don't know. We saw how that turned out once before, right?
Yeah. Tiananmen Square. Yeah. I wouldn't say that Iger is the executioner, but he certainly screwed up badly enough that it's on life support.
Look at this from this article, though. For it is Bob Iger, former CEO of Walt Disney Corporation, that gambled with billions of dollars in investments in real estate ventures in China, and those real estate ventures can be taken away any moment if the company angers the Chinese government.
Yep.
This is a bad idea. Did they not know what they were getting into?
You mess with the bull, you're gonna eventually get the horns.
Oh man!
This is the conceit. So many people in the United States that do not understand international law, that do not understand that life outside the United States is very different. They operate under different rules in other countries, people. Okay? You go to another country and think who the heck you are because of your rights. You have zero rights when you leave the borders of the United States.
Yeah. Unless
you can get to U.S. soil. Unless you can get, to the embassy. Otherwise, you are subject to the laws of the country you're in. And that includes your financial holdings, property. Nobody owns property in China except the CCP. You are leasing it as a business.
But funny how people from China own property over here, but I guess that's a different topic, but yeah. Let's not even get started what they did up in Canada either. But anyway, ultimately, though, we've seen that companies like Disney will do whatever to raise their stocks prices over the next few years, rather than eyeing the potential downfalls of the next decades. Yeah, nobody thinks about the long term. But that decade may soon be approaching, and Disney and Hollywood might have to figure out how they're going to pull back and not lose too much money after their gambles. So, okay. So what are we going to be seeing in the next few years? Are they going to have to the whole global marketplace? I don't know. I think the global marketplace is.
I don't know. Talk about things not aging well. I just had to laugh. I mentioned Tiananmen Square, and then I remembered that back in the Next Gen, there was a starship called the USS Tiananmen, and I'm like, yeah, that might not have aged well if they're trying to market, Star Trek in China.
Yeah, they're not going to have that. They'll have that on Star Trek Picard. And then they'll be like a rogue Starfleet captain who's evil and he's in the Tiananmen, and that'll sell well, and they'll just get angry at them for even mentioning it. Okay.
I think if they're going to market Star Trek in China, they're going to change USS to CCP. But yeah, so speaking of Disney,
Indiana Jones will reportedly take place in space. Y'all excited for Indy
so
Part 5?
that is why I put up what I did in the thumbnail. There was a comic in which Indiana Jones, I think it was meant to be tongue in cheek. He comes upon the cockpit of a ship that's crashed in the jungle, and he sees, basically it's the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo is in there, and it's his corpse. And Indy says something to the effect of, "This seems kind of familiar," you know. And so I just altered it slightly, and instead of it having a native's arrow through his chest, it's Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and Indy saying, "This looks familiar," because Indiana Jones in space, Moonraker meets Raiders of the Lost Ark here.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, it worked out fine for James Bond.
It did not. No, everybody laughs at that one. They're like, that's where it jumped the shark and had to pull back from it.
Oh, is that when you stop with Bond?
Yeah. Yeah, when they did Moonraker, they were like, yeah, this is getting a little goofy. Let's back it off a little bit.
The next movie that came after For Eyes Only was more scaled down. It didn't.
Yes, that's my point. Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
But here we go. This is what they're saying. Maybe this will not be the case. Okay.
We'll see.
I'll read from the article. Okay. Indiana Jones has been a top-rated franchise that many generations have had the privilege to grow up watching. As soon as Harrison Ford pops up on that screen, hat on head, whip in hand, and the iconic Indiana Jones track begins, you know you're in for an adventure. After Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was released in 2008, many indie fans were left wondering if a fifth installment to the franchise would be made. Although very few details have been revealed, we know that there will be one more film. Harrison Ford signed on once again to play the title character, and Mads Mikkelsen, who recently took over Johnny Depp's role in Fantastic Beasts, will also appear as one of two evil blank scientists. The word that rhymes with Yahtzee. Okay. A female antagonist will also be cast as Black Widow Scarlett Johansson, reportedly passed on the role. Other confirmed cast members include Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Solo: Star Wars Story, Boyd Holbrook, Logan, and Thomas Kreitzman, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
There will also be rumors that Chris Pratt would be involved in the film as a young Indiana Jones who would possibly have a spin-off series on Disney Plus playing Indy's younger self. Please stop. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't say anything more of that. That theory, however, remains just a rumor. Okay, well, good. We talk about rumors on this channel. It is now being reported that the film will occur during the space race of the 1960s. When you think of Indiana Jones in space, you may think, no way. However, there may be some validity to this theory. First, the fourth film took place in the 1950s, so timeline-wise, this works perfectly. Also, in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, we saw a lot of alien activity, so the idea of interdimensional beings and playing with a world that is not our own are not new concepts for the franchise. Mads Mikkelsen's character is also meant to bring people to the moon. From that description alone, it definitely seems like that Ford may be heading to a galaxy far, far away, but this time not in the Millennium Falcon. In this film, we will see the first franchise directed by someone other than Steven Spielberg. James Mangold will be leading the pack. The film is expected to release in July 2022. Still, surely we will know more about the possible space escapades before then, as trailers and promotional materials begin to surface ahead of the film's release date. So basically, they don't really know anything yet. This is speculation.
Yeah. And let me just say this: with the changing of one line in that article, I can kind of put a more accurate spin on this. As soon as Harrison Ford pops up, hat on his head, whip in hand, and the iconic "produced by Kathleen Kennedy" appears on screen, you know you are in for a tragedy.
You okay? We'll see. The director is good. Will the director be allowed to do his job? That's another.
The director is who? The director is not Spielberg. The director is not George Lucas. Dude, I'm telling you, there's a reason those people are not involved in this.
Okay.
There is no, and I would not be surprised if they get halfway through filming and then Kathleen Kennedy decides, oh, no, this sucks, we got to start all over. Well, she may not have the time for that. She may not have any choice in the matter. She's got to get this movie done before her contract's up.
Oh, this is funny. Sam Proctor got a comment. Chewbacca as Bigfoot confirmed. This would be funny if like Chewbacca busts out of the Falcon, runs into the woods, and then you have the guy from the 1970s with the from the 1970s with the camera, and he's taking the slow motion pic of Chewbacca walking through the forest.
Right? Exactly. Oh, God.
Would we like an Indiana Jones movie about Bigfoot? I guess they did that on Bionic Man, so it's the $1 Million Man. But anyway, okay.
I honestly, no, I would not. I want to see Atlantis. I want to see the Spear of Longinus. I want to see,
Okay, I'm going to say this. I see Indiana Jones and Zero Gravity. That's it for me. That's it. Again, Kathleen Kennedy's involved. How involved she's going to be? Well, she may be more involved than we want. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it.
Any involvement is more involved than I want.
I think that the director is sound, but again, we've seen directors get kicked off projects that were probably sound. Okay,
look, David Lynch is a sound director, but it's not his fault that Dune sucked.
Yeah, well. I'd still rather watch Dune than those sequel movies. Anyway, though, I don't know. There. We'll see. I hate the idea of the whip getting whipped out in slow motion, right? And
well, if it's any indication, okay, if Kathleen Kennedy being involved, trying to get this done before she leaves, and whatnot, isn't enough to tell you it's gonna suck. Despite what you think, the fact that Steven Spielberg walked away, George Lucas has nothing to do with this. Let's also consider where Bob Iger comes down on the situation at Disney right now. That could also shed some light on this. Okay.
So here we go. Next story. Disney chairman Bob Iger sells shares worth $100 million. I think back to, what is it? Austin Powers, I think it was $100 billion. $100 billion, Didn't he ask for like $1 million and everybody laughed at him as that was his ransom because he was from the 1960s. Yeah. So that
well, actually, your legitimate holdings bring in more than $1 billion a year. So
yeah, he was.
Oh, I need to know this stuff. I need the info.
He was mad. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know about inflation.
I love those movies, not just for Austin, but also for Dr. Evil.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they were both. They were both men out of time, like how to be evil in the modern era. Because the 60s is weird when you look at a lot of the movies back then, how heroes and villains acted. It's just, even in the Bond movies, which were more mainstream, even they're weird by today's standards. And the other ones, Okay.
So there's been a lot of commentary about this
yeah,
news
well,
piece,
for starters, it's not $100 billion, it's $98.7 million. Okay, not $100 million.
Well, okay, you round it to $100 million for ease, but it's a lot less than he would have got for selling the same shares about 2 years ago. Let me tell you that. Okay, in fact, I probably got more per share on the stock that we sold the day after they let Gina Carano go than he got per share for this. Because it's been dropping since then. And a lot of people have been, and even in my Fans Against the Disney Star Wars group on MeWe, have been commenting on the stock prices and values and pointing out that, wow, the stock is going down, 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 down. And then there's an investor call, and then suddenly it spikes up real quick just before. Sounds like some people buying stock to try and pad the market a little bit and make the stock look a little bit better before an investor call. I mean, it's not even subtle.
No.
So the fact that Iger has sold, half of his shares?
Yeah.
At this time?
He's not even gone yet.
Yeah.
You get rid of the other half after he leaves?
It really smells like something's going on there. If nothing else, it's showing his lack of faith in the company. You can't be more specific than that. That is a fair assessment. More specific than that, I cannot say. but you don't sell that much stock if you think it's going to keep going up. You know,
No.
he is padding his bank account, possibly his offshore bank accounts, because he's getting out while the getting's good. Good enough for him anyway. Yeah,
When's he due to leave?
Whenever he wants.
Is it October?
Technically, from everything everyone says, he's not even really.
He's not supposed to even be there, right?
He's not officially there, right? I mean, he's just there in an advisory capacity. Really, it's Bob Chapek that's really supposed to be in charge, at least on paper. I don't know what Bob Iger's exact role is, but it'll be, especially with Disney still being investigated by the Federal Trade Commission. That's saying a lot here. I don't know if this.
Does he know? Does he know projects coming down the pike that are going to tank?
If he does, that could very, very well get him into some serious trouble with insider trading issues. I would say that it has less to do with that than I think he can hide behind the what do you call it? Plausible deniability of I'm selling off my shares because I mean if he's audited, he just says to the feds, look at what's been happening to the stock. I'm selling it because I'm losing money here. No one could possibly argue that's insider trading, right? That's getting out while you can. That's what you're supposed to do with your stock. What I have not done, and really it would have been pointless, because didn't this article come out on Friday?
Yeah.
There's a reason it came out on Friday. It won't be until tomorrow that we see what effect this has on Disney stock.
Oh no.
Yep.
Because this will lose confidence, investor confidence will dip a bit?
Probably. Although, it could go the other way too, where a lot of insiders start buying up that stock for exactly the same reasons I was saying before. I wouldn't put it past someone who's got disposable income, like Kathleen Kennedy, like some of her cronies, buying up some of that stock.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll keep an eye on this. We may have more on this next week.
Nothing that we talk about here should ever be constituted as a suggestion to buy any stock. We have no insider information. We are just speculating. So, don't hold us responsible for any speculation you might do in the market. Okay?
Yes, and maybe just stay away anyway. Okay?
I would.
I know you.
I would. This is not a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not, in good conscience, support Disney at all.
Not
Between
right now.
the whole CCP connection and the Gina Carano thing, I cannot give them
not
my
until they
dollars.
reform themselves, which is part of what investors are for, to tell Disney, hey, you're not.
The only way Disney is going to make money off of me is through indirect means, through licensing. I will continue to buy Hasbro action figures, and in so doing, communicate to Disney what I care about and what I want to see happen.
Exactly.
If they don't heed that, then they will continue to lose money, and not just from me.
So our next story is Shazam! Fury of the Gods teaser reveals first footage from the superhero sequel. I was thinking, you were talking about DC. It'd be interesting. We haven't talked at all about Shazam when you're thinking about redoing the DC universe. As I guess, what would we have? The old 70s TV show to watch? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, probably not.
In the Zachary Levi movie, and that's it. I mean, even in cartoons, he's usually had guest appearances, but I don't know if they ever gave him his own feature animated wise.
I have an article up that I posted. I can't remember. I think that Sir Torin or somebody in the group contributed to it. I was talking about how one thing that I feel that has been lost in DC trying to do this shared, universe and whatnot, is going back and weaving together the tapestry like Marvel has, where the histories, for example, Captain America, the first Avenger, they had the super serum, whatever, was lost, and there's Shield and everyone trying to reproduce it, and that leads indirectly to the origin for Iron Man and the Hulk and all these kinds of things. This stuff doesn't really come from the original origins for these characters. They were all separate characters brought together. Mm-hmm. Whereas the same is true for DC. All these characters are separate and then brought together. Now is the opportunity to weave them together in the same way. And I said, you look at the Greek gods with Diana. You look at the patriarchs. Some of them Greek gods, some of them other pantheons that contribute to the origin for Shazam, Captain Marvel. You look at Hawkman and his origin and the Egyptian background and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. You should really think through your cosmology, especially when you're going to be talking about things like Darkseid and the New Gods, which is DC's own mythology, right? Weave all that stuff together, think it through, and then present it. And I honestly think that there should be some very close ties between Atlantis and the ancient Greeks and the Amazons and the Shazam backstory, Teth Adam, Hawkman, the Egyptians, what's his name, Dr. Fate. All of that should be interconnected,
right?
In back history, going back to ancient Egypt. Why is both of the franchises that I want to rework, DC and Universal, we keep tying it back to ancient Egypt? But
Egypt's important.
Yes,
it's one of the most important ancient civilizations.
Yes, it's the cornerstone of civilization.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I was obsessed with Egypt when I was a kid. And I don't know. What do you think of the new Shazam trailer? Did you catch it at all? We didn't see much.
I never even saw the first movie.
He was saying it would have been a good idea for someone to turn on the lights. It did things right and did things not right, but it was one of the better, I think, of the Snyderverse movies. It was one of the better ones, I thought. Like I said, there were things I liked, things I didn't like. I liked the fact that they brought the Marvel family. There's a wonderful scene when you get to see the whole Marvel family, and I'm like, yes, that was a great moment for that movie. I wish we had more stuff because it had kind of a dark edge up until that last point. That's why I'm almost, I don't know though. But Zachary Levi, good actor. He was on Chuck.
I'm sorry, I need to interrupt to give a send up to Horizon Talker because ancient Egypt is how you bring in the Stargate franchise. No, you do not want to sully the Stargate franchise with DC at this point. No, you don't want to do that.
Anyway, though, there was a Shazam trailer, barely. If you see it, he'll say, "What am I going to do? Somebody turned on the lights," because it's just him in silhouette. And then Zachary says, "Why didn't somebody turn on the lights?" Because I guess that's a joke. He has a new costume, and like you're seeing the costume, it's slightly altered, but we'll see.
Slightly altered for the better, or slightly altered to the this has nothing to do with the comic books.
I don't know. I didn't get a good look. I think it still looks like the Shazam suit. It's okay. The lightning bolt's smaller. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, that was kind of a story I put on here because I was looking for stories. Then we got the big thing with Iger.
Is lightning bolt smaller? Does that mean he's less powerful?
Maybe it's because he's sharing.
You know what they say about the size of a man's lightning bolt.
Okay. with his adoptive thing. True Leaf Stargate alone Hollywood.
Yeah.
They could do a Stargate they could do a Stargate anime. And I would argue
that would not necessarily be a bad thing. Yeah.
Please keep your Stargate out of my anime, I would say. I'm sorry. There are people that do these little videos where they take like the Disney part of the Disney shorts and they make anime intros out of Star Wars, and part of me is saying, that's nice. Please keep your Star Wars out of my anime. That's supposed to be.
I'll tell you what though.
Apparently there was a manga version of Star Wars that's very well received.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Anime is if you weren't into anime, you need to start looking to it because I think there's a lot of value to their style and the fact that they tend to resist the push by the the wokeosphere. Although,
Yeah. Here, come to our next article.
yeah,
Love Hina, mangaka. I've never heard that word before, and I've been paying attention to anime for years. I'm assuming that means manga writer. Okay, manga writer. Excuse me. Okay, I'm saying it manga. I get yelled at for doing it that way because that's the way that they said it back in the old days. Anyway, warns of rising pressure from foreign markets to introduce political correctness in the manga. Okay, this is not good. Let me read this article. There's a good interview. I'm actually going to read this whole thing. This is one of these articles, too, where I keep wondering what's getting lost in the translation. This happens when you take these great Japanese creators.
Yeah.
And sometimes things get lost in the translation. There's a wonderful interview with Mamoru Oshii, the guy that made Ghost in the Shell, talking about Studio Ghibli's movies and trashing them. And it's funny because anyway, I'm not going to get into that here. But
okay.
Anyway, okay. Mangaka Ken Akamatsu, perhaps best known as the mangaka behind the extremely popular Love Hina series, recently shared his...
Do you know anything about that series?
I own the anime adaptation of it. I've seen like an episode or two. It's I would consider it a harem series, like a harem comedy series. You know what that is?
I'm not sure. I mean,
Three's Company is kind of a harem series, maybe.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Of course, the women, they're all these potential mates for the young hero.
Gotcha.
Okay. I would argue, in many respects, Smallville was an American version of a harem show because he had different women on that too. But anyway, okay. Recently shared his concerns regarding the rising pressure from Western markets to introduce political correctness into manga and the possible negative effects such a push could have on the creators and fans across the medium. So this is probably an important panel they had over there. According to a machine translation of Logme's transcript of the panel, when asked for his thoughts on manga and the overseas market, Akamatsu laughed and responded, "In short, it's politically correct." Oh, political correctness, external pressure is coming, such as the pressure to introduce political correctness into manga and movies. The mangaka added, that's dangerous, isn't it? Okay, I'm agreeing with him so far. Akamatsu then explained, so far when the Japanese manga is at the stage of looking at the world, there is a pressure on the scene to meet more global standards. This is this whole thing we were talking about trying to meet a global audience and you end up pleasing nobody.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Because, look, it's the same concept of spending $4 billion to acquire Star Wars, right? You don't do that because you want to fundamentally change it. You do it because it's already making money and you want to continue making that money. So why would you suddenly change something that's selling well in Japan, that's selling well in the United States, that's selling well everywhere, and change it because why? You think you're going to make more money? Fundamentally changing what you're doing that's making you money is a recipe for losing money.
Yeah. Oh, this is the second time Akamatsu has taken a strong public stance on the issue, it said. Yeah. I don't like this, and I'm worried not about him. I think he'll stay the course. I'm worried about the younger artists over there if they might feel that pressure. We got to make it more global. Not understanding that, of course, what you and I like about things made in Japan is that they're Japanese, just like what people like about things made in the U.S. is that they're American.
The one thing that I will say about Japan, though, and I may be wrong, but my understanding of Japanese culture, specifically business culture, is that everything that I've said about business on our channel all along is far keenly truer with Japan. If they change something and sales drop off, they will be very quick to say, that did not work. Your idea sucks. You're fired. We're going back to the traditional way.
That or make something else. But yeah,
right.
That happens. Yeah, there have been many manga series that got cut short, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Even with Gundam, which is like their big franchises, if the ratings dipped on that, they would cut the episode order. Yep. It's about money. Okay, and these things are being made for far less of a budget than what we would do over here. But again, I'm more familiar with the anime industry than I am with the manga industry, and I'm assuming that Love Hina is a harem show based on the many pretty girls and the kind of single guy on the cover who's kind of I don't know. I think he didn't get into the high school he wanted to, or didn't get into college, or maybe that's a different series I'm thinking of. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
I'd like to have the manga artists unify their opinions to some extent as to whether such things are correct or not, he continued. However, when the sales of works that have become globalized and have no sharp edges are good, they end up saying, oh, political correctness might be good.
Yep.
Again, this is one of these things where I think something's getting lost in the translation as to what he's saying there. The veteran mangaka's sentiments were echoed by co-panelist Takuma Kobayashi, the representative director of Publishing House Number 9, who similarly opined, regardless of the company, I think that freedom of expression should be respected, in my personal opinion. Wow. That's something I used to hear in the United States, remember?
Yep.
Freedom of artistic expression.
Yeah.
I'll even say this too, and even on the right, I get annoyed. They're more concerned with political freedom of speech than they are with artistic freedom of speech. We were yelling about this years ago. This is why. Oh. Anyway, Akamatsu.
No, but it's absolutely it goes back to what I was saying earlier on about communication, right?
Yeah.
It's not just what you say; it's what you wear. It's how you act. It's how you treat people. It's the stories you write. I mean, all of that is a form of communication. And if all you do is focus on one medium, you're missing the greater story.
Oh, Horizon Dog has a comment. A mangaka told how he brought in another lackluster chapter in a slumping series to his editor. His editor read it, said nothing, and put it through the office paper shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take it kind of seriously over there. Hey, to be fair, I think even here in the States, there used to be things like that in movies, remember?
Yeah.
Remember Ed Wood? Watch Ed Wood, okay? You know?
If I was the artist that happened to, I would say, okay, fair, but it doesn't improve without feedback.
Yeah, true enough. Okay.
Just shredding it is not enough.
Yeah.
I need specifics.
Yeah. Okay, but I agree with you there. But the point is, manga was okay. He goes on to say, the point is, manga that was being released without being conscious of political correctness cannot be read due to political correctness problems at Kobayashi. I think this is a mess, like a fire. Okay, so it looks like they're having some constructive talks over there. This is a good article. I suggest you read it. Mm-hmm. But one of the last comments I want to read from this though is manga is mainly about freedom of expression, and it feels like you don't give in to political correctness. Noted Akamatsu before questioning, is it a loss if the politically correct work gets overwhelming power? I wonder if that means, well, that's how he trails off.
Here's something else I want to say about this, okay? When an audience consumes, whether it's going to a movie, buying a book, whatever, are they looking for a story that they wrote, or are they looking for a story that you wrote? Are they looking to be told a story, or do they just want you to just regurgitate what they want? Because if that's what it is, don't buy anything. Go write your own story, okay? If you want to read someone else's story, then shut up and read the story. And if you don't like it, then don't read it. Don't come back. It's that simple. And I'm not doing that whole thing that so many of these left-wingers do. If you don't like my politics, don't read my book. No. I am saying if you don't like the book, don't read the book. Is what I'm saying. You know?
What's his name?
Don't dictate to an artist what you want. Okay.
Harlan Ellison was wonderful. You know what he said? The only thing I, as a writer, owe you as the audience is the book. Okay, that's it. I don't owe you anything else. Stop making demands and all this other thing. You come, you buy the book, you enjoy it, or if you don't enjoy it, don't buy it. Okay, that's his thing. I loved him. He was cantankerous. He had a YouTube.
And I wish more artists were like that. I wish more artists, instead of coming out, and even artists that I have admired, coming out and saying this stupid stuff. Oh, that character, in my mind, that character was gay, by the way. There's representation there. No. What I would have said is, all of those background characters may have been gay for all you know. You tell me. I wrote the book. You tell me what you read in it.
Well, yeah.
I am not going to explain it. I wrote the book. That was my explanation of it.
Well, now the mob's come after her now too, though.
Because you can't do that. You need to say that. You need to say, that wasn't part of my story. That doesn't mean I don't have characters in there that aren't gay. It just wasn't part of the story.
Well, it wasn't it wasn't the main thing that defined that
Right.
character. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is how there are people that you know in your life that are into things that you have no idea about. They, if you're not dating them, you may not know what they're into in their dating life. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's none of your business. Yeah. They didn't choose to share it with you.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, there are people that want, everybody who isn't sleeping with them to know what they're into. And make that is the biggest, most important part of them. And let me tell you something. If that's what's so important about you, not very interesting.
I'm wondering if the internet has had a big effect on all this. Like there's no respecting privacy, even respecting your own privacy. You know what I'm saying? But
absolutely. That's why you got, people doing the OnlyFans thing and the, tweeting out pictures of themselves and, the internet is forever, kids. Just remember that.
Remember that, and remember just, you know what? Don't do it. That's what I'm going to say.
And just watch what's happening on socialist media. As people are getting canceled for things that they did years and years ago, it's going to happen to you eventually.
Yep.
Just remember that.
We have some good news tonight, though, sort of, right?
Well, I hardly call it news, to be honest with you. Although,
Cara Dune.
When you sent it to me, I looked at this and I'm like, yeah, I know this. And then I realized, okay, to the general audience, this might be considered to be news, right?
Cara Dune is showing up in toy form again.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a Lego set.
So 6 months ago, when it came out that Cara Dune had been, it wasn't going to be, that Gina Carano's contract wasn't being renewed, and there was that nasty tweet about her from Lucasfilm, and she was painted out of the artist's picture for The Mandalorian, and we all know the crap hit the fan. Well, Hasbro, said, okay, we won't be going forward with the Gina Carano figures, right? Mm-hmm. But they never actually came down off of the Hasbro webpage. They were shown as out of stock, but that meant nothing because all of the other pre-sales for Mandalorian figures were out of stock as well because they had already sold all of the pre-sales. The pre-sales were never refunded. So if you ordered a Cara Dune figure, for all intents and purposes, you were still getting it. And now the fulfillment on those figures is starting to happen. So the Black Series Chrome figure and the Vintage Collection figure and the Retro figure are starting to hit the markets. And those figures are starting to be fulfilled. And so they're saying that they're starting to show up, but it's not a big news thing. This was expected if it never came off the market in the first place because it was all pre-sales.
Yeah.
It's showing up the way it was meant to. Nothing happened. That's the news. The news is nothing happened.
So it's a nothing burger.
Yep. Well, it's reality has demonstrated that the rumors of the demise of the Cara Dune marketing were false. That's the news. And since we put this article, since we quoted this article and put these notes together, late Friday, new news came out that over in Japan, a Lego figure went up. A new Lego Star Wars set came out for The Mandalorian, including a re-release of the Cara Dune Lego figure. That's a new figure that has just been announced.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's not a new figure; it's a new release of an old figure.
But you don't collect Lego.
I don't. No.
Okay. Did it look like her, the Lego piece? A little bit like Gina Carano and Lego.
As much as the Batman Lego looks like Batman, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Or the Leia figure looks like Princess Leia. I mean, yeah.
I'll say this: the Lego Batman did a better. What is it? David Arnett is his name. I think he did it better. I thought his Batman voice was better than Christian Bale's. I'll put it that way.
Why? You don't think this is a good Batman voice?
All right. So here we go.
But I will also say this, from what I understand from people I know in the toy community that are Lego fans, they consider themselves fanatics, and they will buy up Lego sets, not only on speculation like so many of us do for so many toy lines, but a figure like the Gina Carano figure is a great figure for customizing other figures for other lines. So people will buy that up to use for another long-haired brunette figure in another line, you know?
Okay.
Just saying, yeah.
So on to our next story. I don't know if this interests you. Evil Dead 4 starts filming next month for HBO Max.
I mean, it interests me in that I did like the first 3 Evil Dead movies, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. I honestly haven't seen anything since then. I didn't see, Ash versus the Evil Dead or any of that other stuff. So I don't really know if this is good news or not, really.
I don't know either, but
my understanding, though, is that Bruce Campbell is producing this, right? So he's involved in it.
I'm going to remain optimistic. Here's what we had. We had Army of Darkness, and then it went dormant for a while. We had an Evil Dead remake, but it's not really a remake. It isn't. Well, it is and it isn't. Okay, here's what the Evil Dead remake was. When they originally made Evil Dead, they were intending it as a full-on, straight-up horror movie. Yeah. Okay, I think because of Bruce Campbell and some of the antics, and even more so with the sequels, it became like a horror comedy series.
Yes,
and I think they were
especially once they got to Army of Darkness for sure.
And I think they were wanting to go back to the horror roots. Now, to be fair, all the characters in the Evil Dead, they're all new characters. They're not just redos of the old character from the original movie. Okay,
right.
And it still takes place in a cabin in the woods, but it's played straight, very gory. Different director, but Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, I believe, produced on that as well. I liked it. I don't know if everybody did, but I thought it was a decent experiment.
That's interesting. So you could argue that that's not a remake; it's a reboot, right?
Yeah, maybe a reboot, or perhaps.
You almost have to look at it as a whole separate universe.
I wonder if, I think it's a whole separate universe. I don't think it's supposed to be even taking place in the other Evil Dead universe. Of course, it's weird in the end credits. You wait to the end credits, you do see Bruce Campbell's Ash come out and say groovy, okay? But he wasn't in the movie, obviously. Ash versus Evil Dead, the series, riotous fun.
Really?
Okay. I do kind of consider it apocrypha, like maybe this is the follow-up to Army of Darkness, maybe it isn't. But Bruce Campbell's in top form. I like the rest of the cast, too. They did a great job because he has companions in this, too.
Sure.
And it's... In fact, I think, what is the whole thing? They did the Cervantes, Sancho Panza, what is it? The...
Man of La Mancha?
No, not Man of La Mancha. Never mind. I'm thinking of something. Don Quixote. Never mind. I'm thinking of Don
Quixote. Don Quixote, yeah.
Don Quixote and the guy that follows him around. Like this one guy follows Ash around. Like this one guy thinks Ash is the great hero, even though he's kind of a klutz. Do you understand?
Right.
Ash is stupider on Ash versus the Evil Dead than he was in the movies.
Wow.
I don't even want to spoil it for you. He does something so stupid in the beginning.
I'll have to check it out.
It's riotous fun. The gory gags are there too. Later on in the season, he runs to this demon called, the demon Baal, or Baal, as you heard him pronounce.
Baal, yeah.
He's calling him Bill.
Well, it's just... there's something about, because, and don't get me wrong, he is not just comedy. He can do serious, and he can do it very well. But he does have that influence on horror films. He was in a sequel to another horror film that I really loved from the 80s, Waxwork. Waxwork is a great movie. He's in the sequel, and it completely takes a left turn, just like Evil Dead to Army of Darkness,
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'd like to check that out. He was in Maniac Cop. I remember that. He's been in a lot of movies, but he's a great actor. He was in...
Yes, he is.
It's funny because we were mentioning how Jackie Gleason wouldn't overdub his voice, and they got the guy that played Fred Flintstone.
Yes.
I guess for whatever reason, they were doing a TV edit of Darkman, and they couldn't get Liam Neeson to do an overdub of the voice. So they had Bruce Campbell do an Liam Neeson impression, and he
Really?
was doing it at a fan convention. I don't think it was anything personal. I think Liam Neeson just was too busy with the project.
Oh yeah, no. I mean this is exactly what we have said about. We were on Matthew Flynn's channel this morning. We were talking about voice actors for Ben 10, and how one of the characters was revoiced for several seasons before the actor came back, and we have to assume it was just an availability thing, because when you look at these voice actors, you know, you see this long list of things that they've done, and you go, oh, I know that voice, and I know that voice, and I know that. Wow, I didn't know he did all of those, you know, kind of a thing.
All right, so obviously Melissa Harris and Sons isn't on board. That's fine. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to try to remain optimistic.
Well, look, your apprehension is valid, Melissa, because we have seen so many of our favorite franchise just tank. But I do trust Bruce Campbell, given what Boomer just said, you know, about, you know, the reboot and how it is a different thing, and you got to remember that it is a different thing. You know, take it for what it's worth. You know, Bruce Campbell knows what he's doing, but he also understands the spirit of where Evil Dead originally came from. Don't think of this as Army of Darkness. Think of this as what Evil Dead would have been if they had continued down that path.
Well, that's what I'm wondering too, because this is called Evil Dead Rise, and like, which continuity is this in? Is this in the remake's continuity? Is it in the original series continuity? Is it its own continuity? I don't know.
And if you look at Night of the Living Dead and all the different branching continuities that cannot meet,
like
you know,
Return of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead, the Dead, the other offshoots. I mean, there's infographics out there of this very convoluted. it's crazy. There's a place for all of those out there. Evil Dead could be the same way. You know, think of them as alternate universes for the same, you know, basic thing. That works for some things. It doesn't work for others. I don't think it works for Star Trek. It definitely doesn't work for Star Wars. I think it could totally work for horror films.
Doesn't work for Terminator.
No, it doesn't.
We've seen proof of that. As far as this goes, Sam Raimi says, I'm thrilled to bring Evil Dead back to its original home at New Line 40 years after the release of the first film. Raimi said in a statement, company's history as pioneers of horror speaks for itself. I'm equally excited to be working with Lee Cronin, whose gifts as a storyteller make him ideal filmmaker to continue the enduring legacy of the franchise. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's either going to be good or it's going to suck, but I want to keep my fingers crossed on
this is one of those ones that you have plenty of reason to be optimistic, but you're also not going to be too surprised if it sucks.
It has two female leads. It stars Alyssa Sutherland from the Vikings and Lily Sutherland. But plenty of horror movies with female leads, so that's not odd.
Yep.
You know, the Descent,
as long as they're not race swapping or gender swapping a character, then who has a problem with it?
They're,
you know, exactly.
Which is what these things should be.
I'll be honest with you. I like women. I love seeing women in movies. I just don't like seeing women replacing a previously established male character. That's all.
My favorite horror movie of the 2000s was The Descent. I don't know if you ever got a chance to see that.
Is that the one about the spelunkers
in the cave? All female cast. And it was excellent. And there you go. In fact, I like it as a contrast to John Carpenter's The Thing, which had
there were no men in that role.
No men in that movie. Nope. Not in the British version, at least. I don't know if there was a different cut. But no, there were no men in that movie.
No, I did hear there were two different endings. But no, that doesn't mean that there was a different cast.
I didn't bother to see the sequel. I don't know if that movie should even have a sequel, so I don't know if it's good or not. But
that's another one of those ones that you're really better off leaving it open-ended.
I like the original ending. I think I read up on what the other ending was. No, the original ending is more fitting. Kind of a dark movie, but it kind of reminds me of like a horror story that Robert E. Howard might have written.
Yeah,
the things that they're dealing with in the caves. Plus, I find caves terrifying just by themselves. The cave's
I also
a monster itself.
I like the undertones that I've heard about for that movie. One could even reference a movie like The Babadook. A lot of these movies where you're seeing it from the point of view of a potentially
Yeah.
unreliable witness.
Yeah.
And you wonder, are we really seeing something that's supernatural, or are we actually seeing their psychopathy?
Right.
And that can be just as terrifying.
That's the original ending. There's something that might deal with her psychopathy. But anyway, if you ever get a chance to watch The Descent in its original form, I do recommend it. It's creepy as all get up, though. I'm going to say that. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
I hate caves. We'll see how this new Evil Dead turns out. It's either going to be good or bad. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers Extended Cut dares to add 20 minutes of deleted scenes to the bonkers Nintendo movie. Okay, this is when I was struggling for stories, so maybe I just should have excised this one because we're already running late. But anyway, what do you think? Did you see the original?
Well, you saw what I put in the thumbnail, right?
At the end, right? So if we want to,
it's like really, but why
we're
though?
Not skipping this, why really? But why?
Because this was such a great classic. We want an extra 20 minutes of it.
I have something to tell you. I saw it in the movies when it came out.
Okay.
That's
and what is your feeling about this movie? Is it a cinematic masterpiece?
I think that it gets hate it doesn't deserve. This is where I'm at. I think the idea of making a movie based on the video game Super Mario Brothers and trying to make it, I didn't know how they would do it. Okay. Are there issues with it? If I watched it today, probably. I remember at the time not hating it, and I used to hate a lot of Nintendo adapted stuff, like the stupid cartoons they had, like Captain N and all that. Was not a fan. I'm sorry if people in this chat like those, but I thought this was semi-respectable. You had Bob Hodgkins as Mario. Who else would you cast in that role? Think about it. Come on, that was a good casting, right?
How about Italian? Cultural appropriations got, man.
John
you got Italian brothers being played by a Latino and a Brit. That's cultural appropriation, man. Okay, I want my representation.
You know what? This was made back in the...
That is with tongue firmly planted in cheek, people, by the way. I am just joking. I'm messing around. I am not offended, but in this day and age, that's the kind of thing you kind of expect. So you got to cancel this movie because it's not real Italians.
Well, yes. But apparently, like we had the Donner cut, there's now push to get release the original cut of this. Apparently, there were 15 minutes cut out of this.
If there are fans that are willing to pay for it, I think the studio is foolish not to, assuming that it's cost effective to do so. I mean, if it's possible for a reasonable amount of money and you expect to see a return on your investment, by all means, give people what they want. Just because I don't care about it or I wouldn't be your audience, do it.
Okay.
I was not one of those people saying no to the Snyder Cut. I was like, if you've got it and you can put it out there, do it. And if anything else, it fractured the Snyder community more than it helped it, I think. I think there's horrible things going on over it at Warner Brothers because of the wars and infighting that's going on. I don't think this is an example of that. I see nobody there's no downside to making more money off of a movie that's been mostly forgotten by the general audience.
Ooh, this is interesting. Going back to the article, this says these scenes were restored by the help of filmmaker Garrett Gilchrist, who apparently well known for his restoration of The Thief and the Cobbler and a variety of other Muppet projects. Okay.
Well, this is something we've talked about with other restoration projects and things that aren't getting released and stuff. And the fans are literally out there
doing the work
doing the work themselves, where they're doing restorations of films and trying to preserve original versions of things. This is why, we have the Star Wars theatrical releases. It's not technically legal, but it's being done because people actually care about history and preserving it. Own physical media, people, because we'll lose it otherwise.
No.
This is why you ended up with the Donner cut. Remember, it started with the Donner cut, not the Snyder cut. The Donner cut was a bunch of fans taking footage from international releases and television cuts and so forth and stitching them together to try and create, a Donner faithful version, those that knew the difference between Donner and Mankiewicz and so forth, and the whole backstory there. And it was not Warner Brothers that was behind that. In fact, Warner Brothers tried to cease and desist the file sharing community that was doing this. And there was a letter writing campaign from the fans involved saying, look, we're not trying to undermine your trademark. We want this thing. If you put it out, we will pay for it. You know? And it ended up happening. That's exactly what happened. Is the studio said, okay, fine. And that's why we eventually got a commercial release of the Donner cut. Now, they didn't do what the Snyder cut did, where they went back and filmed footage and, redid scenes and stuff. So some of it's kind of put together. Actually, there's scenes that were filmed from test shots that were never clean, that don't look right, but they went with what they kind of to give you a flavor for it, the best that they could do. If they had wanted to put money into it, they could have done, and they didn't. But yeah, so that's why I am not opposed to a movie like Super Mario. If you have the footage out there, I mean, this is one of the great values of the DVD market to begin with, right? All the added scenes, added footage. Some of them take the time where you can choose. I will watch the original theatrical cut. I will watch a special edition cut, or no, I just want to watch the added scenes. That added footage is one of the great gifts of digital media, of DVD. Just download it after you get the... No, I'm sorry. I got to disagree with you, Samuel Proctor. The very existence of a trademarked cut of a film that wasn't licensed by Lucasfilm is not legal to obtain. Just owning a DVD is not enough for it to be legal. Okay? They will not prosecute someone who downloads it, but someone who shares it can get into serious legal trouble. I mean, that's how trademarks, that's how intellectual property works. It's not right, but it's the way the law works. Welcome back, Aged Boomer, to your channel.
Yeah, thank you. I got locked out of StreamYard. I tried getting back in, and it kept giving me problems. I don't know if it was my internet.
Because I took over. I'm taking over these airways.
Anyway,
here.
I did want to answer something that Melissa Harris says. Imagine Ron Jeremy as Mario, as I don't know who should play his brother Luigi.
I'll tell you what, back in the day, that probably would not have been a bad casting. Although, now that I think about it, back in the day, he may actually have done so in an adult film.
Can I say something? I almost don't want to admit this on the stream. I have not watched it. No, I have not watched it, but yes.
You have not watched what?
Ron Jeremy was Mario in a porn parody.
Was he real? That does not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah. Look at it. I feel horrified for the woman who was playing Princess. I'm like, no. Someone posted it on a gaming site. I'm like, no, I don't want to know. Okay, no. Back
during the what was the election? The one where the governor from Alaska was running as the running mate.
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin, right. Sarah Palin, and she was in the media. She was being supported over Hillary Clinton, right? And there was that big rivalry between the two women, right? In one of my political groups, they were talking about a porn parody that cast Nina Hartley, a famous female adult actress, as Hillary Clinton, and somebody younger as the Republican, and I heard it was very, very funny.
Oh my goodness!
But yeah, there's some parody out there, and even if you can, a lot of these, if you can find, they do versions where they edit out all the sex,
right?
And they are very good films in their own right.
Well, I know you've argued sometimes they're doing better work than some of the big studios are with, like, at least the Star Trek one they did. But anyways, we should probably wrap it up in case I run any more technical problems. But
it's been a night for. I'm telling you, man. I think it's StreamYard. StreamYard has something going on.
It could have been
tonight.
them. I was also I went into a different route to the internet, which I think is better, which I wasn't hooked up to. So that might help too. So
gotcha.
I'll make sure I'm in the 2.0 one from now on. Maybe we won't experience this again. But thank you for holding the fort while I was panicking and saying
It's what I'm here for. You've done it for me many times.
But I can't end the stream if I'm not in StreamYard. So thank you everyone for your patience. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. And we got things going on this week. Wednesday I'll be on with Daniel Herron. I don't know if he's told me yet. We are either going to do Total Recall or Beverly Hills Cop. Frankly, that would be a cool double feature movie.
Yeah, but on a Wednesday night, a double feature might be.
You're not going to do that. No,
hard
ass. No. But we may have some guests on that night too, and I believe that you have something going on Friday.
So I have not decided what I want to do on Friday. So I would love any input from you guys if we want to do something Universal related, do something DC related. Do you want to talk Star Wars? Is there a topic you think I should cover, or should I just talk music? And drink?
You know what we also haven't done yet? Maybe this is hitting too close to home and you don't want to do this, but what about fixing Star Trek? Maybe you don't want to go there right now.
I don't want to start a MeWe group for that and continue on, but I would be willing to do a single episode about it, sure.
Okay. We don't have to do that.
But I'd love to know what you guys in the audience think. Would you be interested on Friday if I were to talk about the state of Star Trek and how it could be
state of Star Trek, yeah.
Either how it could be fixed right now from where it is now, or if we were to go back in time, how we would like to have seen it go.
Yeah.
We could do both actually. Let me know if you're interested.
Because I don't know what's really going on right now. I do think we should tackle Shazam at some point on our DC thing, but I don't know what we would watch. Unless is there a pilot for the old '70s show? We could always watch the newer.
No. See, that's the interesting thing. It was more of a Saturday morning cartoonish type thing. So it kind of just comes in media res. They are already traveling around, and the only origin story you get is the opening.
So probably your best bet would be the newer live action movie someday, but you haven't seen that yet. Do you own it?
To watch it? No. I have given no money to Warner Brothers.
I will say this
since after once Man of Steel came out, they lost my business.
Right. No, I understand. I was not a fan of that one either. I will say there were things in the Shazam movie I liked. I thought that it was like the one out of the most that was trying to get back to a superhero style story.
Yeah.
I thought Billy Batson was a little more of a delinquent than he should have been, though.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's my main issue with it.
Well, and I also understand. Maybe I should save this for a night when we talk about this. But I do understand where the rock and the hard place there between with that, because you trying to get Captain Marvel to fit into the mainline DC universe in any era is a challenge. The only time it worked really well was in the 70s Silver Age, when you had goofy storylines like Jimmy Olsen getting an artifact from Superman's Fortress of Solitude and turning himself into a giant turtle monster. Those kinds of stories worked very well with integrating Captain Marvel, whereas later, post-crisis, it doesn't work as well, and you have to modernize it.
That's probably what they're trying to do. And he comes around at the end, too, but, Anyways, it's been cool hanging out with y'all. And like I said, we'll figure it out. You already talked to him. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good night. Anything else left to say, Troy?
Nope. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. By all means, reach out to us on MeWe. Reach out to us in the comments of these videos. Give us feedback. If there's something you'd like to see more of on this channel, tell us so that we know. We're kind of winging it otherwise.
Yep.
But if you're enjoying it, you could enjoy it more by giving us your feedback. That's the intent here. Make it your own show. Okay?
Thanks, everyone. Y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.